I don't know when you guys are gonna get this. It's really hard to say because the algorithm, all that kind of stuff. I'm doing this pretty late at night. It's 11 p.m. here in Japan, so it's really, really early in the morning on the East Coast, on the West Coast, and I don't know if anybody's gonna join in. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how this goes. So you guys know how this does. When you do a live, you got to kind of work work it until people come in. But I'm gonna talk to you guys for a second, and we're gonna see how this goes. I just wanted to smoke a good cigar, and you know what? I didn't bring my cutter up here. But the beautiful thing about this is we got the Menelik, and the Menelik has this little pigtail top on this. And with a really good cigar, I should be able to take this little pigtail off and smoke this cigar without having to leave my live stream and leave you guys behind to go get a lighter. I don't want to do that. So let's see if we can pop this off. What up, man? If you know, you know. Good morning to all. As you can see, it's pretty late in the evening here. We're gonna write the tip on that. Hopefully I can get a good draw out of this. Smoking a really intense cigar tonight. Got the Menelik by Foundation, Nick Melillo, and the whole nine. It's been a long day at work, and honestly, I haven't had a show prepared, haven't had time to make a show. So I just wanted to come on. Thanks for hitting the like button. Whoever hit that like button, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for doing that. I haven't had the chance to really make a lot of videos. The videos that I did recently, the top tens, the buyer's guide did really well. Got some stuff lined up. It's just a matter of me making some time to make some quality content for you guys. So bear with me. So as of right now, as a holdover, we're just gonna commune together. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna kick it. Thanks again for hitting that like button. I appreciate you. Now you guys let me know in the chat. I'm using this microphone, but I'm doing it on the live. So let me know if I'm loud and clear. Can y'all guys hear me clearly? Am I coming through loud and clear? Give me the heads up. And I know if you know is up in here. Anybody else in here, I'm not really sure just yet. So y'all let me know who's in here. If you guys are smoking in the morning, let me know. If you're on your way to work, if you're commuting, if you're laying in bed. Nate, what up? Do you sleep, bruh? You about as bad as me. I'm glad y'all can hear me, man. That's what's up. So y'all know when I do this, man, I usually try to have something to kind of just riff off until we can, chop it up and have some conversations. Um, I wanted to kind of keep this positive for the most part, especially like a couple of these have been kind of dark recently. I try to celebrate these. I try to shouts out for whoever hit that like button again. I try to have some more positive topics, but sometimes they get kind of dark. I say whatever's on my mind. I say whatever's on my bird and what's on my chest, and I get all that stuff off and I release. And that's what these cigars are all about. Just finished the morning workout. That's what's up. I haven't worked out all week, man. So I'm glad you're getting that workout in. Now I'm going to spark one for the live. Cool. What you lighting up, man? Let me know what's being fired up this morning for y'all. It's weird for me because it's not morning yet. But one thing that I wanted to talk about was friendship, man. I know that's kind of odd. Come on, man. Tell me this thing is gonna light. I just got this new lighter from a friend. That's why. That's part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this. So check this out. They got me this tabletop lighter from Alec Bradley, rather. And I just put fuel in this thing, so it should light. I don't hear any of the fuel going though. There we go. Well, that didn't work out. Give me a second. Y'all stay with me. Don't leave. Hit that like button if you're in here. It's more people than likes. Why y'all screaming so loud? What is going on? All right. All right, I'm coming, y'all. I'm coming. Y'all probably heard me talking to my kids in the whole nine too. What up? Got 8 people in here, only 3 likes, man. Y'all hit that like button. I know I stepped away for a second, but it's all good. All right, so check it out. So what I wanted to talk about, I see, going with the King T Arturo Fuento. That's a big cigar. What up, Peter? Shouts out to you, man. The joys of live stream. I know, man. Like, I know. And I literally tested this lighter out the other day to make sure it works. I just put new fuel in it, and for whatever reason, it didn't light. But fire is fire. I got this really cool lighter right here. Once again, given to me by a friend. Sakira. Any of y'all watch that anime? And this homie just moved from Japan back to the United States. I think he's coming back to Japan. I thought it was a cool lookout that he got this lighter for me. So, still using the lighter that a friend got for me. So why not? But nothing is working right now. Is this like a sign or something? What we got going on? All right. So, Akira didn't work. Maybe I'm a bad friend. Maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe I'm not being a good friend. Because none of my friendship stuff is working. There you go. Good old torch. Let's see, we got an Undercrown shave for breakfast. That is a great morning cigar. That was a great option. That is a dope ass lighter. But it's a soft flame, so it wasn't really working right now. Good morning. Good morning, man. I'm glad y'all joining in. I'm glad y'all chilling with me, man. Mm-hmm. Mm. I needed that. It's been a lot of turmoil at my job. Not something I really want to get into, but um, people have been kind of tense. People have been on edge. Yeah, it's the Menelik. Definitely a good smoke, man. You know, Foundation gonna do it right. And if I'm smoking at night, this is kind of the way to go, right? Especially after a long day. It was either gonna be this or the La Patisserie, and this was a bigger cigar, so this will give me a lot more chances. You know, kick back, talk to y'all. So I wanted to be on a positive tip, man. I wanted to kind of talk about some positive stuff, and it's kind of dope what cigars do. Cigars can bring people together and keep everybody in good vibes, keep everybody at peace. And that's kind of what my goal is, man. And that's why I love for y'all to come in here and to be able to chop it up. Everybody at work has been so tense. Excuse me. But it's this dude from Hawaii at my job, man. And he's been saying that everybody's been tense. So this dude would just invite me into his office, man. And the AC is not working at my job. It's been out for 3 years. It's the middle of the summer. It's inside of a gym. So it's hot, it's sweaty. It smells like armpits and balls and urinals and shit like that. And it's just, everybody's stressed out. So he'll invite me into his office, cook up some gyoza for me, get some dumplings. Me and him would just sit in there and chop it up, talk about life. Just go good looking out on that like button. We'll talk about life, just talk about some really philosophical stuff, talk about his kids, find out he's a cigar smoker. And I didn't know that at first. So I told him about the channel, told him to check it out, all that kind of stuff, man. We just talking about cigars. So you know how we are with the crew, man. You want to make sure people have good cigars and whatnot. So I'm planning to get this dude some cigars. And I said, yo, I'm gonna bring you some good stuff. And before I could even bring him some cigars, he brought me this lighter. And I didn't ask for it. Wasn't anything. He was just like, dude, I thought about you while I was at home, and I knew I had this really cool lighter, and I never use it myself. I want you to have it. And he just brought it to me. And that's just some dope ass shit. So I went back, got him a bunch of, what up, Steven? What up, man? Good to see you, man. It's early in the morning out there, man. And I just wanted to show the dude some love, man. So I got him locker rim, got him some LFDs, and got him a couple Connecticut cigars. Some got him a tour for Wente, just some stuff from the Humidor to say, here, man, enjoy these cigars, just kick back, you and the fam, And he smoked the locker rim, and I was like, look, man, this one is like a chocolate souffle or a chocolate brownie. I want you to enjoy it. And he came back the next day and gave me the hardest pound. Like, that cigar is exactly what I needed. That's what this community shit is all about, right? Shouts out to everybody to hit that like button, man. I appreciate y'all. No, I didn't give him any of those Ferio takeovers. I said this is for friendship. I like him, man. I wouldn't do that to him. And I'm telling you, okay, so I'm gonna piggyback off of that. So you guys saw that on the Ezra. What up, man? Good morning to you. Appreciate you. Papa Vintage, man. That's cool. Am I that old? One thing, like, if you guys saw the community tab, I'm working on a podcast, and I want to be able to do a podcast that doesn't suck. And I feel like a lot of the cigar podcasts out there, either they're like swamped with sponsorships, and they only trying to sell something or sell you something, and they barely even talking, or they talking about their connections with all these different cigar companies, but they're rarely ever like talking about the cigars or the cigar culture. I want to change that. I want to really have something that's just the same way I'm doing this kind of show right here, but to kind of be more topic based and to be more focused and less kind of drifting and things like that. I want to answer some of y'all questions. I want y'all to do Q&As. I'm gonna talk about some of the news, but I'm not gonna do it like I did my news channel where it was very like buttoned up and stiff and all that. I just want to kind of react to some of the cigar news, whatever comes out of PCA, whatever is happening on Half Wheel or Cigar Dojo, the reviews. Hey man, there isn't one cigar podcast that I like outside of Oz Heads. Exactly, man. And I kind of feel the same way. Appreciate you, Steven, on that, man. I'm gonna let you guys know when that start coming out. I'm writing it right now. I'm kind of taking down some of the things. So I'm gonna tie all this stuff that I'm talking about together, man. But I really wanted to do that. And I wanted to talk about some of the cigars that like I've smoked that I didn't like. And one of the topics that I want to talk about is like going back and revisiting cigars. And everybody's had that cigar that was just like, oh, this is trash and it didn't work. I kind of go off about Alec Bradley cigars all the time. Me and the fellas been talking about the Gatekeeper quite a bit and how we really didn't dig that cigar. And I want to go back and kind of re-review some of these cigars that I didn't like. This is a damn good cigar anyway. But I feel like sometimes you got to give those cigars another chance. And I feel like the podcast would be a good place to do a deep dive on those cigars that like I didn't enjoy for whatever reason. Y'all know how I am about Blackbird cigars. Y'all know how I am about Caldwell. And there's some brands that I really just don't mess with. I'm not doing the Gurkhas. I'm not going that far. But I do want to get to some of the more, um, more focused cigar brands. And I want to smoke those. And Ferio Tego, I've never had a good time with any of that Nate Sherman line or Ferio Tegos and all that. Like I haven't enjoyed those. But who knows, if I get into a good space, smoke that cigar, take some notes on it, maybe it'll change for me a little bit. Maybe it'll be something in there that I like a little bit more. Maybe, and that way I can get, in there and dissect that a little bit. Plus, I actually want to get, people that watch the channel that actually want to sit back and have a conversation and talk cigars. I don't want it to just be my voice all the time. Sometimes it's just going to be me chopping it up with y'all and just talking into the microphone. Other times I want to have people up there that and do like an interview or just have a conversation about cigars. People who send out cigars to me, people who just watch the show all the time. Just come on and let's have a conversation. Have that be the podcast. Just off the top of my head, that's what I've been writing down and working on. What do you fellas think about that? Do y'all like the concept of that? Do you like the idea of that? Do you think it'll be a good show? Do I need to add more to it? because pretty much right now, those are the three segments that I want to do for that cigar show. Because when I go on my Stitcher right now, I got all these shows that are, talking about true crime, basketball, talking about science, talking about Japan. I don't have any of them that talk cigars because I don't like any of these cigar channels, man. And you add to the Q&A. I appreciate that because I think what I'm gonna do, man, is just between Instagram, between the community chat tab, I'll throw it up there. Most of the times when I ask for Q&A, nobody shows up. I may get like one or two questions, but I feel like if I filled a few of them, and if I'm doing it for the podcast, maybe more people will show up. And especially since the channel was growing, we almost at 3,000 subscribers. So thank y'all, fellas. Thank you everybody for joining in, and ladies too. If the ladies have joined in, don't let me, leave anybody out. God damn, this is a good cigar. All right. Damn. I like this cigar, man. It's perfect for tonight. But I want to get everybody involved. And I feel like if the channel was growing like that, and if everybody is like who has joined the channel and moves over to the audio version, maybe we can do something really good with it. Right. If I just do a real podcast and maybe more people will ask questions. All right, man. Appreciate that. Sounding like a good idea. That's dope, man. Y'all give me that kind of push. So this is why we talking cigar friends. You guys are my friends. You guys really help me out. That's why I come out here early in the morning, late at night to have a conversation with y'all. Y'all help me grow the channel. Y'all help me really get involved with all this kind of stuff, man. You kind of keep this chaotic mind focused and keep me going the right way. So I've been seeing, maybe you guys will notice this. Maybe you guys have been paying attention. I know you guys watch a lot of reviewers. I'm not the only person that y'all are watching. And I know it's not just, Michael and Matt, John and DJ, Smoke What You Like. I know it's a lot of different people that y'all watch. So I've been watching and talking about, a couple of these reviewers that are out here right now. And it's a few of these cats that have really been down in the dumps lately. Like you can really tell that they're struggling with the depths and the difficulties of having a cigar channel. And it's a lot of bumps and bruises when you're doing this channel. It's a lot of stuff that really goes into it. You're putting your own money into it. You're putting your blood, sweat, and tears into it, and you're putting yourself out there on a channel. You gotta be human, and you gotta really kind of open yourself up, and you gotta be vulnerable, especially like with your palate. Being able to review on the spot and being able to have a personality and to have creativity and to do like it's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot of pressure for very little reward. The most reward you get is, you make some friends, you get some cigars back, you might meet some people in the industry, that type of thing, right? And I've seen some cats channels, start to decline, or something happened in their lives that has affected their channel. And it's times, man, I just want to reach out to them. And you can see like they're trying to be something that they're not, and you can see the depression hitting them, and you can see the sadness coming across their eyes. You can see the sadness across their face, and the topics are becoming a lot more, just downtrodden, and they look like they're beaten up, and they're angry, or like you can see the sadness, and it comes across. And it's times I want to reach out to them, and it's one of the cats that I actually reached out to, and I'm just like, hey man, you're alienating. I miss watching Ron Real. I miss watching Ron too, man. But Ron is not the one I'm talking about. And I know Ron was going through some things. And the thing with Ron is like he was a very talented dude. And one thing about Ron is like when he was making his shows and when he was, coming across, he never seemed like he was trying to be somebody else. He never seemed like he was faking jacks for anybody. Ron real. And one thing I felt like he kept it real. Even when he was going through some things, even with me, when I'm going through some things and my show stops for a while, I'm keeping it 100 with y'all. I'm just kind of letting y'all know, like, hey, this is what's happening. This is when I'll be back. This is what we're gonna try to do, whatever, whatever. And I feel like he's trying to do that too. But I felt like he kept everybody captivated when he was making shows. And I felt like, when he was going through, he was making changes and all that. I felt like he was being himself. I have a lot of respect for people that try to put so much effort into their YouTube passion projects. It's a lot to juggle uh, for the rest of your real life stuff they have going on, and that's true, Peter. Man, it's like you got families, you got kids, you got work, you got your family that is not your immediate family, but mothers and all that kind of stuff. What about sponsorships to invest in your overall production ideas on show topics in house and on the road, going to your local smoke shops and even on the road? And the sponsorships are available. I got a connection right now with a cigar of the month club. My cigar pack, and they send me out cigars. At one point in time, I had some with Black Lion Luxuries, but that got really weird. Excuse me, y'all. Got a little bit of a cold, so that got really weird. But they can send you cigars, but because YouTube has it so that you can't link your channel to anything because of the alcohol, tobacco, firearms type thing that they're fighting against, tobacco, we really can't have like real sponsors, for people that's going to put money in our pockets. That's why we don't get, ad revenue. We don't get any kind of kickback for that. So in all actuality, this becomes a passion project for us. We got to do it because we love cigars. We love the community. If it wasn't for you guys, I would have been gone a long time ago, because I can smoke cigars and go out and try to meet people and just enjoy the cigars. But I love this community thing, right? That part I appreciate a lot. And I don't know, maybe and this is something I got to look into when I do the podcast, I want to see if they're able to actually do a real sponsorship for me. If I'm going over to Sirius Satellite, or if I'm going over to Apple's or Title or whomever, and putting my show there, maybe I can get sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. It'll make the load a lot easier, because most of this is out of pocket and out of my own time. But for most of the people, the guys that I'm talking about that's on YouTube, we're doing all of this because, you know, we're trying to make something of ourselves in the industry, or we're trying to be creatives. Or I do have a Patreon account and I have it set up, but it doesn't move. And I'm not the type of person that's like, yo, guys, please go to my Patreon, please. I've mentioned it before, put it out there, but not a lot of people go there. It's probably still up on my account. Like if you go there and you can see like the little Cash App account and all that kind of stuff. I did that when I first started the account 3 years ago, and ain't really looked into it since. But it's there. It does exist. But for these guys that are like, where's the link? I'll sign up. I appreciate you, Ezra. Thank you very much, man. Um, yeah, go check on my account. If not, I'll put it up again in the community and see if people will support that way. And thank you for asking about it. But I didn't want to drop that ash, but oh well. You see, when some of these cats, man, they're doing these channels and stuff, man, and they're like, need to remind people, yeah, man, but it's a really difficult thing, especially for somebody with me that like myself, that like I don't like asking for shit. I really don't like asking for shit. I have a hard time with that. You know, I was joking with Steve Saka the other day. I was trying to see if he was actually like sending out something for PCA, since he's releasing so many new cigars. I didn't know if he was sending out like a package or anything. I actually put my pride aside and went to Saka. Was like, hey man, you sending anything out? He's like, not at this moment, but there's no shame in asking. All respect to that dude. But sometimes you got to be able to, if you're gonna be doing business with people, if you're gonna be trying to get partnerships and things like that, you got to put your pride aside, and you got to be able to say like, hey, can we work together? That's how I got in, connected with Alex with my cigar pack. I actually went to him. It's like, hey man, what are you working with anybody right now? Are you doing anything? I know that's necessary, but asking for like, hey, can you support me? You got to really humble yourself to do that. Like, hey, can you guys support my Patreon? Can you guys, Cash App, help me with cigars? And a lot of you, out of the kindness of your heart, have sent me bombs and things like that. So I just got to be humble and be thankful for that, man. And that's a really cool thing. You guys hitting the like button. That's hard for me to ask you guys to do that, but you guys do that. You support. it kind of comes with the territory. Sorry, I got distracted. Somebody on the beach out here shooting off fireworks, so that kind of caught me off guard. But saying that to say, man, having that kind of pride comes with the territory. When you're a creator, when you're an artist, that comes with the territory. But another part of it is you want to be able to reach out and support people, and not in a financial way, man. So when I'm seeing these guys that are like all sad and down, like I want to reach out to them. I want to go to them and be like, yo, I'm watching your show. I'm kind of watching you bomb right now. I'm kind of watching you crash and burn. And I really feel like the way you're coming across on your channel right now is disingenuous. Like you're asking people like, hey, hey, look at me right now. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm living my life right now. What do you guys think? Instead of just saying like, hey, this is what I'm going through right now. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about these cigars. Let's talk about the industry. Let's, just talk about the cigar that I'm smoking right now. Let's talk about what we're reviewing, what we're doing, and just kind of being themselves. And I don't think that comes natural for everybody. I felt like Ron Real came off natural. I always joked around when I was doing, those impersonations when I first started the channel, and I did Lee Mack, and I did Tim from Cigars Daily. I did the what's the guy? Should I smoke this? I did his shit, just kind of joking around. I did Cowboy. Now somebody like Cowboy, no matter what type of show Cowboy would do, Cowboy always came off like himself. It never seemed like he was forcing anything. It never seemed like he had to ham it up for the camera and give me finger guns and like, hey everybody, watch my show and look at what I'm. It never came across like that. It always felt like if you met Cowboy and if you just went to his lounge and you sat there and you had a drink with him, that was gonna be Cowboy every day, right? And I feel like what I'm doing right now, the same way I'm talking into this camera, if I'm sitting down and having a conversation with y'all, this is the same way I'm gonna talk to y'all. This is me, right? And I just really hate to see people trying to project an image and a persona that's not themselves. And I always joke around about like he said the Tim impersonation had me rolling. But yo, I really sat back, and before I started this channel, I was studying a lot of the cigar reviewers. I was studying people. I was studying Cigar Obsession. I was studying Cigars Daily, uh, Zeal Cigars. Even back when Tim and that dude were together, working together. Uh, Dr. Joe. I was studying his channel a lot. I really love this channel. Mr. Lancero. I love this channel. Lee Mack, Ron Real, and I was really trying to get a feel of like how can I present myself and be myself. And one thing about me is like I always did impersonations of people. I always did like Bruce Lee and Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson. And like I used to just joke around in class and joke around with my friends, just doing impersonations of people. So I was just like, let me take a look at these guys and just kind of do an impersonation of them. And Tim caught me off guard because I always felt like he was trying so hard. Like he was never being himself. And it was one of those things that I felt like, and sometimes I feel like you have to do that to a degree. You have to be able to project on camera. You have to be able to, give enough of your energy that it goes through a camera and into somebody's phone or into somebody's laptop and all that kind of stuff. Like it takes an effort to be able to project an idea or a persona to someone. But it's also really important to be able to do that and just be yourself. So when I did Tim's impersonation, like his intro was always jarring to me. It was just so in your face and so over the top that it was just like, but he has one of the hugest channels on YouTube. So it worked to some degree, right? That kind of thing, like there's some parts of it that work, but for the guys that I was talking about recently, and one of them was like a really big channel at one point in time. He doesn't have like such a big channel anymore. Just became a Patreon. Shouts out, fam. I really appreciate y'all, man, because y'all had to go above and beyond in order to do that. Thank you, brother. But like some of the guys that I was talking about, one of the dudes was a really big channel, and his channel disappeared. He was going through some personal stuff, and now when I'm seeing the dude like post like the stuff that he's doing is angry, and it's just not it's and I really used to talk about his channel. I study him too, and I'm just like I hate to see him like in that way. The irony of that is that maybe he's being himself. Maybe in this case, it's like maybe he really is in a darker place right now. And this dude in particular doesn't know me from Adam. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with him. I don't think I've ever, talked with him in the DMs. I never got a chance to do a show with him or anything like that. So I don't know if I could be a friend and reach out to him just to be like, hey man, what's going on? Hopefully when I do the podcast, maybe he'll come on and maybe we can talk about everything that happened with his channel and the way things went. So let's pause right there. Let me see what Ezra's talking about here. We appreciate you and your time, sharing ideas on different cigar brands, flavors. So thank you. Appreciate you, man. Hire some local college kids that need business credits, creating shows and raising money. Um, in due time, I think I'm gonna do that. I think what I'm gonna do right now, Ezra, just as far as like getting getting the podcast off the ground, it's gonna be the same way that I did with the Vintage Cigar as far as the YouTube show. I'm just gonna put my blood, sweat, and tears into it and just kind of make it happen. Now, if enough comes back and enough support comes in, then I can kind of use that to kind of start hiring some people, especially when it comes to like editing. I was thinking about like I gotta name the show. I don't think I want to do the Vintage Cigar podcast. I might do that. If y'all like the Vintage Cigar podcast, if you think that's enough and you think I've created enough of an IP to do that, then I'll do that. You guys let me know. Give me your ideas on that if you think that works. Um, if not, coming up with a name for the show, coming up with a new logo, coming up with music introductions and all that kind of stuff. Like I need to hire somebody to like, I don't have musical talent. That ain't your boy. I love music. I used to be an MC. I used to be a poet. I used to do all that kind of stuff. But if you're talking about like me making a beat, you're gonna hear the worst beat you ever heard. I don't know if y'all guys ever listened to Little Brother and Knife Wonder used to do like this thing where he would like joke on producers and like they would be making this fucked up beat in the background. That's me. My homeboy Money that I was telling you guys about before, he was an MC and a producer, and I got on his MPC and I tried to make a beat. Ugh, oof. When I tell you it was bad, ooh, that man, I never picked up an MPC again. I left that shit alone. I was like, yo, Money, you handle that shit. All right. That shit just wasn't for me. So, saying that to say, I want to build this from the ground up. God damn, this is a good cigar. Everybody was talking about how strong this cigar was. I'm not getting that, man. This shit is smooth as hell. Got some great flavor notes in it. Man, it's outstanding. Did you hear that Andre has a new album on the way? Okay. So yeah, I did hear about that. So let me catch you up on that. So Killer Mike had just put out an album, right? And Killer Mike got Andre to do a verse on that. And Andre did what Andre does, just spit this dope ass introspective verse on it. So Killer Mike hops out the window and was like, yo, 3000 got like 9 songs together and he got a whole album worth of stuff already. And he about to drop an album any day now. Well, whatever he said, something like that. Right. Now, anybody that follows 3000 like I do, who was my favorite MC for a long time, still might be my favorite MC. Kind of hard to say. But they know that Dre has a very serious anxiety problem. Like the reason why he's not with Outkast no more, the reason why you don't see him on stage, and he's terrified to actually put out an album. No, he's not putting out an album, and that's where I'm getting at with this. So he's actually his level of anxiety is so bad that he, like he said, he got a a vault full of music that he may never release. And when he was talking to Rick Rubin, he was saying like he tinkers around and he kind of plays around, but his anxiety level will not let him release an album. So I know 3000 went to Killer Mike and was like, "Hey man, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know what I'm going through right now. You know I ain't putting out music." So Killer Mike retracted that and came out and said, "Hey man, y'all gotta forgive me. I was really high and I was just talking out of the side of my neck." So he retracted that shit. 3000 ain't coming out with no album. He already said it's an old man's game and he ain't doing that shit. So I know a producer from MC named Raven Beats who's dope. Where he from in MC in NC, man? Which area? Durham, Greensboro? Where he at? Um, I know some MCs down there. Yeah, I know it hurts, man, but just just look for Dre's features, man. Dre ain't never coming out with an album, bro. His anxiety that he has is way too severe. That dude was just in Japan not too long ago, walking around with his flute. I didn't get to see him. I think he was in Tokyo. I wish I was around because that's one dude. Like it's few people that like I would get starstruck with. Dre might be that dude, and I would have to have a conversation with that brother. So let me go back to what Ezra was saying here really quick. So many creative students need college credits, internships. They can be your creative film. Yeah, that's true. So good luck. Appreciate you on that, man. Gumbatonate yourself. He likes stepping out 2 to 3 times a year and goes back to chilling. Yeah, man. And you know, that's one thing about Dre, man. Like you can never take the artist out of the artist. You can't do that. So he's always creating. And even now, like I get inspired sometimes and I write stuff in my head. I don't put much on paper anymore. I don't put much on wax anymore, but like you can't stop from creating. Even at work, I'm like sketching around and doing stuff and I just leave art around, just like I just leave it at work. You can like I'll probably never perform again. I'll probably never do an art gallery or anything like that, but I'm always creating. And this is my outlet. He's in Charlotte. My brother's in Charlotte. Okay. We got to talk offline, man. We gonna politic on that. That's what's up. Just became a Patreon. Shouts out. That Papa EKB is crazy, yo. Appreciate you, man. Thank y'all for supporting, man. That means a lot to me. Seriously. Thank you. Uh, Served in the Navy with him. Okay, bet. So if you can, Stephen, if you can compare him to anybody beat wise, is he like a Ninth Wonder? Is he like an Alchemist? Is he like Dilla? Like how would you compare his sound? What would you say? Is he like Just Blaze? Something like that? I went to Coachella 14 solo just to see Cass because I knew it would be probably be never happen again. Is that when Dre was rocking the all black suits with the alien glasses on and he had the different sayings and all that kind of stuff up there? Is that what that was? Because I honestly believe that was the last time they performed together, if I remember correct. Yeah, you know what I want to do? I want to get one of those black outfits, man, and get a blonde wig like that and go out for Halloween. I'll do that for Dre, man. It's very rare that I dress up as anybody or do anything, but that would be dope. It would be dope just to have one, just to walk around in Tokyo with that outfit on. That would be super clean. And y'all probably don't know this, man. I had to put up some pictures. I'm about to do this shit to myself again. I'll try to see if I can find some of my old pictures. I used to dress really wild too, and I wasn't trying to like copy Dre, but we got it. Both Gemini's and both got that same kind of weird artist brain. And I used to dress really, really weird, really weird. And I used to go to like the open mics and spoken word shit. Like if y'all saw those pictures, y'all would bug out, yo. Let me see if I can find some of them. Y'all gonna be like, "What, dude? What the fuck you got on?" That shit, that shit would be hilarious. They didn't, they didn't the governor's ball right after, but that was it. They did the governor's ball right after that. I don't even remember that shit. Honestly, I don't. But yeah, so at least you got a chance to see Cast again, man. That's one thing. Like I've seen a lot of my favorite artists. I saw Sade live. I saw Nas. I saw Run DMC when I was a kid. I saw Kings of Leon. Um, but I never got to see Outkast. I saw the Roots. I can't even tell you how many times I saw the Roots and Black Thought perform live. Um, They used to come to Norfolk all the time. Steven, you probably seen them in Norfolk too. You was probably out there when them boys came out. I saw like it was some really dope acts that came out to the God damn, that's the biggest bug I've seen in a long. What the fuck is that? Let me see if y'all can see this shit. Let me, I don't think y'all can see that shit now. God damn, that shit is fucking huge. Anyway, yeah, man, I seen a lot of my favorite artists, man, and I never got to see Cass. Look at this motherfucker. Hold up. Can I get that bitch on camera? Can y'all see that bitch right there? God damn. Anyway, that's Japan for you, man. These bugs out here are huge. That's like a roach beetle, something. I don't know what the fuck that is. I can't think of a direct comparison, but dude is talented. Rick Ross picked up some of his beats. Okay, so here's the thing with that. Let me kind of go on that. One thing about Rick Ross is that motherfucker knows how to pick beats. Like he is brilliant. Like being from North Carolina and Virginia, y'all probably charge that motherfucker rent. Word up, that thing is huge, yo, and it ain't going nowhere. Anyway, I'll get to that question in a sec. So let me go back to Rick Ross and shit, like, because he always picked up Kanye. He always had like some of the beat makers from Dade County and all that kind of shit. And I don't know if y'all know Bink. Y'all know who Bink is? Bink is from Virginia. And Bink does some of the dopest beats. He did Devil in a New Dress for Kanye. He did a lot of shit for damn, I'm kind of drawing a blank right now, but Bink makes just outstanding beats. And I met him. My homeboy used to cut my hair. Shouts out to my man Jarrett. I don't know if he ever gonna see this, but he used to cut my hair. He used to cut Bink's hair. So I met Bink in person. Bink is a really chill dude, and that motherfucker is one of the best producers I ever heard. He got beef right now with Just Blaze for stealing his styles and all that shit. But if he is like that kind of producer that Rick Ross want to get to him, I might need to talk to this cat just so I can have something like y'all know who I am about music. And y'all know when I'm doing my shows and shit, like I like to put good music in the background. If I'm gonna do a podcast over time, I want it to kind of grow to that. So at least it sounds good. And it don't have to be like the best show in the world, but I do want to like for y'all to come in there and be like, yo, Keelan vibing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like at least in the intro, like goddamn, the hip hop heads, the music heads be like, yo, this motherfucker, he getting busy. So yeah, I'm here for that. Let me get back to that last question. What was that? What do you think of the cigar of the? What I think the cigar of the year might be? Ooh, give me some time. Let me kind of think about this, man. So one thing that I can say right now is last year they did a Cuban cigar, and with Cigar Aficionado, they always gotta kind of show a little bit of love to the Cuban brands to kind of keep that kind of mystique and that kind of story age old dusty cigar well aged shit going. They still kind of have that antiquated vibe to them. CK, what up, man? um I don't know if they're gonna show enough love to the Olmec. I kind of feel like that could be definitely in the running, and we're halfway through the year right now. It's a good chance they could go with the Osgoner Bosphorus, but they might pull some bullshit, and it might be like the Pledge of Allegiance that EP Carrillo just brought out, and they might be like hyping up his trilogy and all that. So that's a possibility. The RS-88 Maduro is the cigar of the year for me. Nothing has come close so far. A lot of people are really talking really heavy about that cigar, Peter, and hopefully, hopefully, Sanj is sending that cigar out to me. I haven't had any of the industry killers yet. I haven't had any yet, so I don't know if it's that dope. But if it's anything like the SB10s, then it has a good chance. But it ain't no fucking way that cigar is making it into um, cigar aficionado. It's not gonna happen. It ain't no way that's gonna happen. It's you can almost just completely count that shit out. But I'm hoping that when it comes to people like myself, the rest of the fellas in the new wave, any of the other reviewers that are out there that is gonna do an end of the year type thing, I'm hoping that Sanj kind of gets his love as far as his cigars. I hope people like. I hope it makes it on whatever the end of the year list is going to be. I just smoked the Pledge of Allegiance. It's a good cigar, but a cigar of the year candidate, but not a cigar of the year candidate in my opinion. And I agree. I don't have that cigar yet. I know what you meant by that. Hopefully I read that correctly, but um, it's one of those things where when it comes to cigar aficionado, I might get in trouble for this, but whatever. When it comes to cigar aficionado, I don't think it has to do with God damn this big ass bug, man. I don't like. I don't think it has a lot to do with the zeitgeist. It doesn't usually have anything to do with what a lot of the people are doing. They're saying they do blind reviews, but I don't believe they do blind reviews. It ain't no way you can convince me that they're doing blind reviews on that shit. Because honestly, the OMAC should be mentioned in there, and I don't think it's going to be mentioned. So I don't know, man. Mainstream cigars media is a joke, all about who spends more in advertisements. Yeah, and that's really why like I haven't paid a lot of attention to that. Um, the main reason that I pay attention to Cigar Aficionado is because I know a lot of, it's a storied institution, right? And if I'm gonna do any type of content, I need to kind of have my finger on the pulse of what people are talking about and how it's going to affect the market and how it's going to affect the people who are, what they're spending their money on, what they want to talk about for reviews and all that kind of stuff. That's the only reason why I pay attention to it. If it was just me, I would have jumped off that train probably about a year or two ago. But that's just me. I just had an SB10 this weekend. Which one did you have, man? You had the black or the red? And Sanj is actually working on a green now called a Charisma. That's going to be really dope. Yeah, Foundation is definitely killing it, man. And like this Menelik is an older cigar now, but this is fantastic. This is outstanding. I'm really enjoying this. Okay, yeah, I like that red, man. The red was good, but the Olmec, the Maduro or the Natural is outstanding, and I got to get my hands on the new one that they just released um, for the Charter Oak. I want to see what that's all about. I went online today just to kind of see what was out there and what some of the new releases, but that didn't I didn't see it out there yet. So hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on that one soon. Big L, rest in peace. Shouts out to Big L, man. Big L, Big L. Like I just watched a documentary on Big L recently, and they were kind of talking about how he was the only MC that actually scared Nas for a minute. And I can remember back when I was like 13 or 14, my older cousin came to my crib, yo, and he had lifestyles of the poor and dangerous, and he was just bragging about how much he loved Big L. And I heard that album for the first time, and I tried to play it cool, like I wasn't really fucking with it. Like I'm like, ah, yeah, he aight. And all the while, like I went in and got that shit for myself, and went in my room, was like, God damn, Big L is different. He really is a different type dude, man. And just as an MC, it's sad he got gunned down the way that he got gunned down. And the worst part is that the way he got killed on his stoop, the dude that shot him was really intended to shoot his brother. So that's some just heartbreaking shit. Yeah, definitely looking forward to the Charter Oaks. Yeah, those new Charter Oaks should be pretty boss, man. Y'all know how Nick Melillo does, man. Like a lot of the stuff that I've just been seeing that he's been working on. He got another cigar that he's gonna release too, where he's kind of like dedicating it to another cat. I can't remember what his name is. I'm sorry, I can't remember it off the top of my head. I only saw it like a day or two ago. But I was just talking with the fellas in the group chat about that. Then I think that one's gonna be hard too. PCA seems like it just got a lot of really cool shit that's about to come out. Did I see the new Dunbarton cigars coming from PCA? I did, man. I've been looking. I've been looking. I follow Steve Saka a lot, just kind of in general, and I love the fact that he's so vocal about the stuff that he's working on right now. He just did the new Vitola um, for red meat. Had to relight this bitch, but if time permits, I'm gonna be doing a review for the red meat, and I just didn't want to do it until I actually got some props that I wanted to do for that review. So Michael Prisdale sent me that cigar a while ago, and somebody else sent me another one too. It might have been Steven. To be honest with you, I can't remember like all the cigars that I got recently, but that's what I'm gonna do. He has the new. He's been doing a lot with the unicorns, and somebody asked me on another live recently, what was my white whale? What was this cigar that like I want to get my hands on that that I'm chasing down? I do not want to pay $100 for a cigar. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and y'all know how much I love Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, but I'm not paying a lot for the $100 is crazy. But that Vitola is probably the only Vitola that I will put anywhere near a shark. And he's releasing the Brulee in the unicorn, and it's another one. Y'all can update me. I know y'all probably know too. He's doing another one that's in the unicorn. I think he just did the Micarita Black in the unicorn, and it's another one. I think it's like three of them. And then he's releasing uh the new green brulee as well too. And what is that called? Like the Wagasaki or something like that? Wagashi something. Either way, I want that one. And my white whale is to get one of the unicorns. Like that Vitola is that shit is calling my fucking name. But $100, bruh, I can't do $100 for a stick either, man. I can't. But it's definitely a white whale. That's my Moby Dick right now. That's the one that I'm looking at. And believe you me, when I was talking about like how like I don't like to ask for shit, when Steve Saka contacted me, he was like, "Yo, I'm sending out cigars to y'all. What do you want?" And I was like, "Yo, I want something from you, Muestra de Saka. I want that new Saka con. And if you really feeling, a certain way, yo, you can send a unicorn if you want to." He ain't sending that motherfucker. But hey, I can't be mad about it at all. But goddamn it, I Steph Curry that motherfucker. I shot my shot. The new Charter Oak and Metapa. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, that's the one that I was talking about. That shit looks like it's gonna be amazing. And if it's anything like this Menelik, or if it's anything like the Olmec, I can't wait to see what he's doing on that one, bro. I really can't wait to see what that's about, Peter. Lots of nice cigars coming for the PCA this year. I'm excited for the Poison Dart from Blackworks. Yeah, I want to try that one, man. But Blackworks for me, man, like they're kind of up and down. I respect them. I like what they're doing. I love their marketing, but they're kind of up and down for me. And Blackworks is adding the Vitola to the Killer Bee and the Green Hornet. That Green Hornet was solid. I wasn't really feeling the Killer Bee, but that Green Hornet was solid. The Brulee Blue and the Micarita Black are coming. Yeah, that was the other one. It was the Micarita Blue. So I knew it was like three of those. I just got one unicorn, definitely aging it for my retirement. When are you retiring though? So how long you gonna be aging that motherfucker? I think I think that's the question, right? When you think about it, man, that would be a great cigar. Okay, 5 years, that ain't too bad. That's not too bad, man. Early, Gambatane, man. Early congratulations on that retirement, brother. I hope you got more than enough time to kick your feet up and smoke a really good cigar. Having those special occasions cigars is something nice, man. Like when I smoked that I smoked that 10-year-old uh extra añejo the other day that Michael Prisdale gave to me, man. It was just nice to kick back. I kind of prefer a fresher añejo, but it was still nice to have that. And when I smoked that shark from Julius Caesar for my daughter's graduation, man, like that's still like a great memory for me. So, you know, being able to have like those special moments, being able to create something and to have something to come to fruition that just is worth celebrating. And if you can get a good cigar for that, $100 cigar might be worth it for that. So being able to retire, kick your feet up, you ain't got to bust your ass no more. That's a beautiful thing, man. So many congrats. Saka Khan is by far my favorite cigar. I really can't blame you on that one. I love that cigar too. I can't wait to get my hands on that Papa Saka. Dude, that Papa Saka is calling my name. Like, that is like, besides like having something like a shark, but just like a everyday Batola. Like, I love that Batola. Just like, that's just a nice daily cigar to have. So that Papa Saka, and especially if it smokes anything like that double Corona, it's gonna be outstanding, bro. So that big ass bug is sitting right here. It's sitting on my camera stand. So he gonna hang out and smoke this cigar with me. God damn, this fucker is huge. I wish y'all could see this. Uh, do you know why the Sober Mesa Brulee is so popular? I don't think the Connecticut still pushed out leave. I don't think Connecticut still push, but leave it to Saka. Love the Brulee, so I'm getting the unicorn $100 a knot. Yo, I feel you. Hey, spend your money the way you need to spend your money, man. I'm not mad at you. Enjoy that cigar too. The thing about, like, okay, I just did that top 10 on Connecticut's. And the reason why I did that is because I didn't want, I feel like it's like Kobe. I feel like Kobe, if Kobe called a player soft, like, everybody thought that player was soft, right? And I feel like it's a lot of people that kind of lean towards the Maduros and lean towards something like the Menelik, that's like a stronger, heavier cigar. And the Nicaraguans, the stronger Nicaraguans and Maduros and all that kind of stuff kind of became all the rage. And it was kind of like the antithesis to Cuban cigars. And I kind of felt like everybody was calling like Connecticut soft. When it comes to the Brulee, to me, when it comes to the Antonio Connecticut, the Warhawk, there's some the one that Warwich had, that lighter cigar. I don't know if it was quite a Connecticut, but it was a lighter cigar, lighter color. But there's some Connecticut's out there that got some spice to them. They got some kick to them, and they got a little bit of punch. And it's nice to be able to have those as something to kind of change and give you something different for your palate. And for me, that makes a big difference, man. I don't like, I sometimes I want a really good Connecticut. And that Brulee Blue is one of those that I actually love just to kind of go back and kick it with, man. So that I did that actual show just to show people, like, yo, there are Connecticut's that you can go to that's not just gonna be so mild that it's not even worth trying to smoke them, if that makes sense. I had to put one of my boys onto that Tabernacle Goliath word, and yeah, and that whole line, man, that he was doing with the Tabernacle is money. So shouts out to you for being a good friend to put your man's onto that cigar. Got me a box of the Todos Los Diaz. Those are so damn good. Yeah, man. I like, which Patola did you have? Because that wide to me was outstanding, and that the thick Lonsdale that he just got, man. I'm glad Saka sent me a box of those because the first one didn't go well, but he sent me a box of those, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that cigar. Uh, got to up my cigar budget for all the Sakas. Yeah, yo, Saka, he said that probably like 3 or 4 months ago, Steven, that he was like, yo, I'm about to hit y'all in the head. I hope y'all pockets are ready because I'm sending y'all some really good cigars, and that motherfucker was not playing. Um, Damn, really, when I think about it, man, I don't think anybody is having the output that he's having right now. Even with some of the larger things, he was complaining about, like, he didn't have, like he was not necessarily short staffed, but he was kind of like, stretching a lot thin. And I could kind of see how, man, because he's putting out so much shit, and all of it is good shit. Peter said that 20 Acre Farm, that cigar is absolutely one of my favorite. I'm kind of disappointed that I haven't spoken as much as I should about the 20 Acre Farm. I've talked about that cigar, but that honestly should have been on some of the lists that I've made recently, man, because I think a lot of people kind of got disappointed with that Florida Sun Grown, and it kind of got overhyped. But Drew Estate's kind of doing a revamp with that 20 acre farm. They did a fantastic job with that cigar. It's delicious and it's unique, and a lot more people should try that. And that should be something that's like a staple for people's humidors. Honestly, do any of y'all feel like the Opus is way overrated? I'm gonna get myself in trouble here with this one, Cal. Like I'm really gonna. All right, I've kind of said this in passing, but I've never really made a big deal about it. I know I've said it on some of the live streams that I did with the fellas, but when it comes to Opus X, I think it's a little bit overrated. Now, don't get me wrong, y'all know I'm a Fuente guy. I love my Fuente cigars, but when it comes to if you give me the choice of whether I could have something like a Don Carlos or Opus X, I'm choosing a Don Carlos every fucking time. I would probably choose a Don Carlos #4 over a lot of the different Opus X's out there, Angel Share or the Power Ranger, any of them. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think they're bad, but I just don't think they're worth the price all the time. Like now that I have a few of them, I still like them. Even the Lost City, like I enjoyed the Lost City, but it's not like my absolute favorite out of that. And if I'm gonna spend money on Fuente, I'm going for the shark every time. Absolutely. And that's just me. The personal reserve, I'd rather have that one. But I don't know how other people feel about it. Y'all can definitely chime in the comments on that. But let me know how you feel. Old torpedo. Ah, okay. Yeah, that torpedo is still good. We're talking about the Todos Los Dias on that one. Got you. Mas Fuerte. Uh, so that's Tres. If I mess this up, Tres de la Cuentes. My Spanish is horrible. Is a Connecticut by Cavalier. Oh, did I have that one? Did I have that one? I love Cavalier. I think I just had the white. I think that's the only one I had, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually smoked that one sitting right here, but I don't know if that's the same one. So forgive me if I got the name wrong. Peter said Opus X is 100% overrated. Good cigar, but not a great cigar. And that's basically what I just said. I agree with that. Yes to the Don Carlos. The Don Carlos, the man, is actually fire. All right, man. It was good kicking it. Steven, thank you, bro. And thank you for that Patreon love too, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for all that you've done for this channel, man. Y'all give mad love to Steven. I know he's probably already gone, man, but that dude has been supporting from day one, man. And it means a lot. This makes total sense. What you're saying. I think Sokka's on top right now, without a doubt. I agree with that. I agree on the Opus X. It's not special. It's good, but I think they really marketed that really well with the Opus X, and I'm not mad at them. And I think they're really good cigars. But as much as I love Fuente, man, I try not to overhype them with that, with my dollars, because your dollars matter, for these cigar brands, and it's always going to be people, just like it's people going to pay $100 for the unicorn, and I can't knock them on that. But it's just for me. If I'm going to put my dollars somewhere, I'm going to Don Carlos. Lost City is the bottom end of Opus X. The Siglo and the 20th are tops for me. I just gave Matt, when I met Matt from Cigar Hound Dog, when I met him in person, I've been talking to him for a minute now, but when I met him in person, this was probably around January. So I gave him uh, I gave him one of the Siglos because that dude has sent so many people dope ass bombs, and he's been so generous. I just wanted to show love to my man and give him something that he hadn't had yet. So, and he thoroughly enjoyed that cigar too. It's definitely a good cigar. Can't be mad at that one, but it's pricey. Yeah, somebody said the price tag is higher than a giraffe kitty. Well played, and yes, that is fact. Let's see, 888 Añejo is the best. Uh, any of the Añejos, man, 77 to 55. You really can't go wrong with that Añejo, man. Especially like I love that cigar. I love the flavor. I love those fruit notes in it. It's fantastic. I got something in my eye. That's why I keep doing that. So if I'm looking weird, y'all just bear with me. Glad I caught you live, bro. I'm smoking the Atabay. Oh, hey, dude. I don't even think I got any more Atabays. That tell you something right there. It is no more Atabays in my humidor. And Oliver from United sent me a whole bunch of Atabays, and I bought from Atabays. But if I got an Atabay, I'm smoking that motherfucker. And I gave some to Matt and a couple other fellas just because I wanted them to experience Atabay. Atabay is that shit. That's absolutely. It's really one of my favorites. One of these days, I'm gonna do one of my top tens, and I'm gonna do just like my top tens, like just my top 10 favorite cigars all time. Atabay is gonna be on that list. I love a good Atabay, man. Let's see. I gotta quit playing breakdown and get me a couple boxes. Let me see. What were we talking about on that? Oh, okay. Well, you gotta break down and get a couple boxes of the Atabase. Yeah, I ain't mad at you for doing that. You're gonna spend a nice little chunk, but that cigar's so good, man. I can't really blame you for that. Mm, that reminds me. So what I'm doing, and shouts out to everybody that clicked that like button. It's more likes than it is people in this, and it's 14 of y'all going. So shouts out, thank y'all for the love, man. But I'm doing a new top 10. And this top 10 is going to be top 10 flavor bomb cigars. The ones that, like, when you light it up, it's like, you know that it doesn't taste like anything else. You can pick out just about any flavor note in there. I got to do an update and add a bay into that top 10. I felt like it was a cigar that I was missing from this list, that it should be up there. And you just reminded me that the Atabay should be on that list. So thank you for that. So I got to do an update, and I got to just rework that and put everything from 10 all the way up to number one. And I worked really hard on that one, and I knew I was missing something. The Atabay is a flavor bomb. That, like, you can taste that Atabay, and you get the graham cracker, and you get the sweet notes, and you get the red pepper, and like you don't miss anything from that cigar. That thing stands out. So nice one. Never had an Atabay. Which one do you recommend? Honestly, I'm gonna be for real with you. Get any Vitola. Get any Vitola. It does not matter. Even if you get the, I don't know them all by name. I think it's the Brewhouse or Brew. Y'all correct me on that. I'm just doing that off the top. But I think that's the one that's closest to a Robusto, and that's probably gonna be the most cost effective of the Atabays. But any size, if you wanted to spend a little bit of coin for that, get any Atabay, bro. You good. You don't got to worry about that. Ain't no thing, bro. But the Atabays are somewhat Cubanesque. They are. I did. If you go back, I did a top 10 list on some of the most Cubanesque cigars that are out there, and I'm pretty sure I had that one on that list. But the thing about that is, like, it's probably, like, it is very much so Cubanesque, and I actually think they use some Cuban tobacco in there because they did the undisclosed tobacco. I'm pretty sure they put some Cuban tobacco in there. Um, but that's just speculation. But whatever they added to it is much more flavorful than just about any Cuban that I can think of. And even if you're going like on the high end with the Cohibas, or um, like a Partagas, anything that kind of fits in within that lane, the only one that I would really compare to it flavor wise would be the Quay D'Orsay number 50. That's probably the closest one to it, and it's even more flavor packed than the Quay D'Orsay. Brewhouse. So, yo, okay, I did have that right. Purple Atabay. Okay, somebody giving a shout out to the Purple Atabay. Honestly, man, it does not matter. Like, whichever Vitola you get, that thing is gonna be fire. You ever smoked a El Rey de Mundo? If so, did you like it? I did. That may have been like 2 or 3 years ago, I think. Cause when I got here to Japan, I was just like, since I could just get Cubans like it was nothing, that's the majority of what they sell out here. That and Davidoff. I was just kind of going ham. I was buying Punch. I was buying Ramona Alones, uh, El Rey de Mundo. Like, I was just buying shit, man, just to try it. And I had it. I don't think it didn't really make a point where it stood out, but it wasn't a bad cigar. That's one of those that I would have to, like, go out and smoke one again. But for me, the standouts was the Quay D'Orsay. the Ramon Alones, the Boulevard, the Partagas Serie D. I think just off the top, those are my favorites as far as the Cubans. You know. Oh. The Monte Cristo #2 and #4, and Olla de Nicaragua. Not Olla de Nicaragua, Olla de Monterrey. Epicure #1. I just like the Patolo on that one. I see you smoking the Menelik. Have you had the opportunity to get your hands on the High Claire? How do you say that? Sanitaire or whatever foundation. I have that cigar downstairs. I almost grabbed that one. Excuse me. I almost grabbed that one, but that's gross, y'all. I'm sorry about that. I almost grabbed that cigar, but I haven't smoked it yet, and I think I'm holding on to that one to actually do a review. I don't know if many people are gonna actually care about that review since so many people have reviewed it. They're sold out everywhere. I got lucky, man. That somebody sent that to me in a bomb, and they wanted me to try it and review it. So I've been holding on that one to actually review that cigar. So that's gonna come soon. The reason why I'm doing these lives right now, shouts out to y'all hitting that like button too. The reason why I'm doing these lives right now, is just because it's probably after midnight here, and this is really the only time like that I have to smoke and actually put out any kind of details. And my phone, I'm using a loaner phone right now. My phone is broken, so like I don't have my editor to do like all the videos and stuff that I normally do. So once I get my phone back, should be in a couple days or so, I'll start putting out some reviews again. Hopefully over the weekend I'll be able to get some content made for y'all. Papa's Fritas H99, love the original more. So here's my thing with that. I'm glad Robert that you mentioned that, because I like what they're doing with the Papa's Fritas, and I love the whole concept behind that. And I know Saka does it too, and I think that's probably where they got it from Drew Estates. Is, they're taking whatever's left over from those cigars and doing like the short fillers of those cigars. That H99, I just had it for the first time the other day, and that thing is phenomenal. It's such a really good cigar. So that, for me, that's a good thing to do those ligas that way, where people can get it and get it at an affordable price. They're gonna be short fillers and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think anybody's gonna know the difference, to be for real. And I think that's just a smart idea to do it in a way that people can smoke that cigar and enjoy it without having to break the bank. So that's really dope. Neptune had them, or has them. Yeah, I peeped that out. I saw that the other day, but I didn't get it just because I would rather spend a little bit more to get the real deal. But I mean, I'm not knocking anybody that goes out and get those Papa Fritas, man. Like, and I know Saka has one of his that's coming out shortly too. I looked up and was able to get me a box of I know I'm fucking up that name, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But I only have 5 left. God, yo, you was lighting them motherfuckers. Yo, you dropped a penny on that motherfucker too. But I know I'm gonna enjoy that cigar. But I love what Nick Melillo does when it comes to like doing stuff for the culture. Doing stuff that has some history to it. Giving shouts out to Haile Selassie, giving shouts out to Nubians, and giving shouts out to the Kemet people in Egypt and all that kind of stuff. Like I think it's really dope, the story that he tells with that, and the box and the presentation that he puts into all of that. But for me at the time, like spending the money on that cigar was like, I'm not doing it. How is the Olmec? Yeah, we were just talking about this earlier, Jerome, that the Olmec, like I thought that it could possibly be one of the cigars of the year. And whether you get the Maduro or you get the natural, that Olmec is absolute fire. Like, I'm trying to think where Nick Melillo has missed. And maybe y'all got an opinion on that, where he missed. I can't think of anything. Honestly, I think pretty much his whole line has been pretty stacked and pretty solid. When it comes to just blenders in their portfolio, that's just like the most consistent right now for me. I think it's Nick Melillo and Steve Saka are the most consistent. And Saka's on a run right now where he's killing it. But I think a close second is Nick Melillo right now, and I give a lot of love to John Huber, with what he's doing with the Crown Heads line right now too. Espinoza is doing pretty good, but he has some misses that are in there. But all in all, man, right now, like if you just want to, like you can just pick up just about any cigar, whether it's going to be the High Claire, whether it's going to be the Olmec Foundation, with the Charter Oak series. He's hitting on all cylinders. His Menelik was money, like he hasn't really messed up at all. And Joe Rogan shouts out Foundation all the time. They've done pretty good. Yeah, didn't he do a brand for Joe? That's one of those like out of curiosity. Like I love when blenders are doing like special blends, and the wise man and the elder went say off the rip their money. But to kind of continue my thought so I don't lose it, like I love when blenders are doing like special blends for themselves or special blends for other people. And I just want to try it just to see what they like as a creator. I want to see what they're doing. And I want to try that Joe Rogan cigar. Like I'm kind of like I'm on the fence with Joe Rogan in general. Like I haven't watched the show in quite some time, but I respect him, and I respect anybody just like showing love to cigars the way he has recently, and for the blenders that are like doing creative things and doing new things. I love that shit, man, and that's a cigar that I want to try. I will probably never get my hands on it, but I would love to see what that cigar tastes like, just to see what he was doing, like as an artist. Like, what are you making for Joe Rogan that you feel like he's gonna love, and you feel like suits him, his personality or whatever, his suits his palate. That's just a cool idea for me. My two favorites from Foundation cigars are the Olmec Maduro and the Tabernacle Havana CT. I love the Havana, um, like, and it's taken me some time to grow with that cigar to feel like it's even better than what it is. But I appreciate that line, man. Like the Tabernacle is money. All of those are really good. But honestly, man, I haven't had a Tabernacle in a little while. I need to get one of those again. Pretty sure the GRE cigar is based off the Menelik, just slightly tweaked for Joe. They aren't in the production though, so I'm sure you. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, but see, when I was talking to Sanj Patel, like I was asking him, I'm like, yo, do you have anything like this, that you made just for yourself? That's something that you just make for your people while you in your lounge. Is this something that you're smoking on? That intrigues me. You know, I would love to see whatever Saka has done just for himself. Just something that just suits his palate that will probably never be released. I would love to just rub shoulders with some of these guys. Just like, yo, what's your special blend? What is something that you just smoke while you around your lounge, or while you're in the tobacco era? Who knows, man? Maybe one day somebody would do, the EKB cigar, and I would love to see what somebody, just based on watching my reviews and seeing like what my, where my palate goes, and see what they would make for me. That's the creative thing. I like to see what makes people tick, what kind of excites them, and something they would do that's just kind of like off the wall. That's really exciting to me. Let's see. My favorite cigar at this point is my father's H2KCT. Was that my first review? That might have been my first review for I Want to Smoke. You guys got to go back and take a look at that. I think that was the first one I did. Or was it the Illusione? It was in the top 1 to 4 reviews that I ever did, and I love that H2KCT. That was a really good cigar. The sad part is I haven't gone back to revisit it. I need to go back to it. I haven't had it in a while. I smoked a lot of those though, but I haven't had it in a while. The only bad review from Foundation was the Upsetter. Oh yeah, let's see, Mr. Enoch Cigar Emperor hated that infused cigar. I'm gonna stay away from it because what's so funny? I totally agree with you. Who said that? That was Jerome. I didn't think about the Upsetter, because I actually got that cigar and I gave it away just because I'm not really into the infused stuff, and that thing smelled like potpourri, and that just wasn't in my lane. And I understand what he was trying to do with that, but that's one of those. You know how sometimes when people will make an album, that they just doing as an experiment, and you just kind of ignore that album. Like they were in, like Stevie Wonder had his classic period, and in the middle of this classic period, he did like the Musicarium or whatever, and then he put out Hotter Than July. So for me, I just kind of like skip over that album and put Hotter Than July in his classic period. Like that's kind of how I feel about the Upsetter. if, if if that makes sense. So it's just like it's one of those albums. It's like I know you were experimenting. I know you were experimenting with that cigar. So we just gonna skip over that one. I totally put that one out of my mind. That was a good point to bring that up. Let's see. He said he agreed with the Olmec top three cigar of the year. It might it's up there for a lot of people. Really, it is, and it's hard to get that cigar now just because so many people love it. Enoch did say it smelled like perfumish. It really does, man. And when I first ordered it, this is what happened. I ordered that cigar on Neptune. I got this whole big thing that I was just getting a whole bunch of cigars that I was going to review for the channel. And I saw the Upsetter. One, I'm a reggae fan. And once again, Nick Melillo showing a lot of love to, reggae music and the culture. And so when I saw that, I was like, let me get this cigar. And when they sent all of my cigars, that cigar was wrapped up on its own. And I was like, why did they do that? And then I was like, I hope this cigar isn't infused. And I took that thing out of the pack and I was like, holy shit. Yeah, this is infused. And I wrapped that motherfucker back up and I sent it out to somebody. I don't even remember who I sent it to. If one of you guys are in this, chat that I sent it to, you let me know because I have no idea what that cigar tastes like. I didn't even bother with it. My father pumped out a lot of cigars for the people. I like my father, man. Um, the Don Pepin Garcia one, the Connecticut is a really good daily driver cigar. It's really affordable. It's a good cigar. But a lot of my father's cigars to me are armchair cigars. So I gotta kind of be in the mood for that. I gotta kind of want that leathery taste, and I kind of want that woody notes. That's when it's like if I'm sitting back and I got a suit on and I'm chilling with somebody in a leather armchair, then I'll smoke with my father. I know people love the Judge. I like the Judge too. But if you watch my reviews from like 2 years ago, I was talking about my father all the time, and that was like one of the introductions to cigars for me. Like, when I really started going out hunting for cigars and trying to figure out what my palate was, my father was super popular during that time. So I smoked a lot of my father's then. But if you can see, like there's like you don't really see me when I'm doing reviews or if I'm doing a live or something like that. It's very rare that I have a my father cigar. The OG Florida Landside TS is an absolute banger. I love that cigar and it's great for the price range. And but that $40 cigar, like I don't want to spend $40 on that 10th anniversary. Cigar Hound Dog was like, look, man, I'm gonna send you this cigar again so you can smoke it again. And when I smoked it again, I really enjoyed it. It's a great cigar. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. But it's just I'm not jumping out of the window to spend $40 on that cigar, you know. But it's no way that I would shit on my father as a brand. I will not do that because I really think they're really consistent for the most part. And I think they're a storied brand at this point. It's just I like them, but I don't love them like I used to. Yeah, I don't really like infused cigars. I like only the Django Vitola. I heard people saying the same thing about that upsetter. I don't like it infused, but the Azucar by Espinosa is nice. I don't think I've ever had that one. I don't think I've ever had, but I stay away from infused cigars. It's very rare. I think some of Saka's brulees. I wonder if those are infused, and I know he did the whole thing with the shut the fuck up thing about that, and they didn't have a sweetened tip. I know that was a big thing, but for him to be able to get that kind of sweetness in that cigar, I found it interesting. So I mean, I don't totally trash him, and I try not to like trash anybody's palate that likes infused cigars. This dude sent me this cognac cigar from it's a Chicago brand. You guys may know it. It's a really popular brand. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, but that was a cool thing. But literally, the humidor that I had at the time, after I put that cigar in there, it just smelled like cognac for like 2 months, after that cigar, and I just don't want to deal with that. That's just not something that I love for my cigars. Have you had a chance to try that Cohiba Siri M? I did. I did try the Cohiba Siri M, and it was cool, but I didn't love it. I don't know, man. I want that Cohiba line to work, but it's just not. It's not for me. And from the red, the black, the Siri M, and it's a couple other Cohibas that I've tried recently. Like they don't blow me away. I don't dislike them, but whatever. Especially for $30, bro. And it's one of those things for me. Like I'm lucky that I never paid for that cigar. And shouts out to my man Kendall for sending it out to me. He sent me a couple of those, and I tried them, but I didn't even know what the MSRP was on it. And it's just one of those things that I tried it, and I just didn't fall in love with it. I definitely wouldn't spend $30 on it. It looks nice, it's cool, but nah. I think it's Don Rafa. What is Don Rafa? What is that? Remind me of what that was. I don't remember talking about so many different things. How do you feel about Tatuaje? How do you feel about the Tatuajes they make? Um, I'm not sure if I'm understanding it. Like just Tatuaje in general, like the different cigars from the Tatuaje line. If I'm doing this wrong, feel free to correct me. But as far as Tatuaje, I like Tatuaje. And I show love to the brand. Don Rafa. I don't know if it was Don. It might be Don Rafa, dude. Or Don Raphael or something like it's something like that. Or Ralph's Cigars. I think it's Ralph's. I think so. It's one of those. It might be. But yeah, it's a super popular flavored one. So yeah, I think we're on the same page with that one. But um back to Tatuaje. Like the Havana, I love that cigar from Tatuaje. And the the Rideau. What was that? The vampire one that he just did. The Drac. The Drac. I enjoyed the Drac. There's definitely some Tatuajes that I love. Oh, the Kajonu, Kahonu. How do you pronounce that? Whatever that one is. I thought that thing was outstanding. I really love that cigar. But um, so it was Ralph's. It was Ralph's. But yeah, so Tatuaje, like if you give me a good Tatuaje, I'm gonna smoke it. But in recent years, I kind of drifted away from Tatuaje. I have some down in the humidor, but it's certain like brands that I gravitate towards that I like. Tatuaje and Room 101 to me kind of fit in the same lane. Like when they are on and when they're hitting, they're so good. And I don't really have a lot of construction issues with them or anything like that. But it's not like brands that I just jump out the window to like go smoke. And I don't know. It's something about them to me that like they work and they're good, but they just don't blow me away. So I would probably like lean towards Foundation or Dunbarton Crown Heads before I go to that. I'll probably go to Principal Cigars real fast before that. There's certain brands that I kind of gravitate towards, and but I always look for Tatawahe to see what they're doing. I always, and they've popped up on some of my top tens and all that kind of stuff. So like it's a good brand. It's definitely a good brand. It's just not one of those that I'm floored every time. Never seen me smoke Viaje, and they drop a lot of limited editions. All right, I'm about to get in trouble with this one. I do not like Viaje at all. I just recently smoked the birthday cake. I like that cigar. That birthday cake was pretty good, but a lot of the viajes that I've had are like really dry and they're like arid and they dry out my palate. and they're really boring. And when I'm on lives with the fellas, it's like a running joke that whenever somebody asks me like cigars that I don't like, or like if they just want to pick on me about a cigar, they usually bring up Viaje because it's just not for me, man. That's just one of those brands that I don't do. That's just me. So if you like them, like yo, I swear I'm not dissing your palate at all. Mm-mm. It's just not me. Now I've had them, like I smoke them, like I've smoked them to try it out. Um, One of the guys that was like really into my show, like really early on, we were sending each other cigars, and he was like, "Yo, I've heard you talk about Viaje. Let me send you this Viaje Platinum, and this is one of the best from their portfolio." And I hated that cigar. I don't even think I finished it, bro. I really don't. Principle is on the rise. Yeah, yeah. Like I'm really trying to show right now. I'm trying to show a lot of love to Principle cigars. I want more people to smoke Principle. Just um, in general, like everything I've had from them recently has been unique and it's been consistent. Um, I want to show a lot of love to Lampert, because they're doing really good right now. And I've been showing a lot of love to Sanj Patel and Casa 1910. So those are a lot of the brands right now that have just recently have impressed me and that I've just been trying to like, okay, let me kind of hype these up a little bit. Not so much so that like I'm overhyping it, but I want people to know like, okay, this is something that I'm smoking on my own time, and it's something that I've been really impressed with. Um, yeah, man, I know I'm probably gonna get some sideways looks from for the VI. Hey, that's just not my lane, man. Like it's certain cigars like Caldwell, I can't really do. I've been trying with Caldwell, and I tried with Blackbird, I tried with VI, and it just they don't jive with me, man. Yo, when you did that YouTube short with throwing out the Gurkha, somebody sent you. I was rolling on the floor laughing, like only the cellar reserves from Gurkha, particularly the 18-year cellar reserve. Everybody has their Gurkhas that they kind of go to, but see, to me, Gurkha is one of those brands that they like. They have so many different. They have so many different cigars that they make, and it's just like it's no way you making that many cigars that your cigars are gonna be good. Like you really got to be able to take your time to craft these cigars. Some of them, if you're making that many cigars, something is gonna be good. And I think Cigar Hound Dog just recently had the Ghost, and he loved that cigar. And it was just one of those that, like, for me, I've had too many bad experiences with it, so it's just not worth it for me to spend my money on Gurkha. And sometimes Gurkha can make that like a super cheap cigar, and then they have these cigars that are like super expensive, and I'm just like, ugh, like I just, it's not for me. I'm tossing that shit over the shoulder every time, Jack. They have hype them up way too much, for sure. The Z by Principle is great. Did I have the Z? I don't think I've had the Z yet, so I got to try that one out, man. I've had a lot from Principle, so I'll keep my eye out for that. Let's see. I only had the Angelique from Principle, and I have the Martinique and some accomplished Corojos. All of those are fire to me. The time to burn is absolutely money. What is it? I'm dyslexic, so I mix it up. I don't know if it's like the 25 or something like that, the 525. It's something like that. It's something with numbers that's really good too. That's like Principle is killing it right now. I've been hearing good things about the Casa 1910s. So for me, like me and the fellas have been going back and forth with this. Every single one of us has a different one of the Casa 1910s that we like. I like the orange. I think DJ likes the green band. And if I remember correct, I think it's Matt that likes the white band the most. But for me, I just love what they're doing as far as like putting Mexican cigars on the map. And I'm lowering my voice right now because it's late and I'm on the rooftop. I got neighbors that are really close by. But um, I really think that for me, the orange label, and I'm not good with the Spanish names, so I don't want to butcher them. They're probably some of the most unique cigars as far as what they're doing with the Mexican flavors right now. You get the tea notes, You get a lot of notes. You get some fruit elements out of that. They're really, really mild and they're not really strong. It's like they have pepper notes in them, but they're not gonna blow you away with the pepper notes. I just think the balance of those cigars, Cochillo, yeah, Cochillo Parado. Is that right? I think that's right. So forgive me for not having it here, and I really will butcher that name. But either way, what I'm saying is like flavor wise, I think it's worth the try to go out there. I've been trying to hype those up a lot. Yeah, that's the orange band. You're right. But saying that to say, man, like unique flavors is something that's really been a thing for me. Like that's why I'm doing the next top 10 on flavor bombs. But I love the Sin Compromiso because it doesn't taste like anything else. And I love what Principal was doing with the Time to Burn because that doesn't taste like any other cigar that's out there. And I really feel like the Casa 1910 portfolio is really unique and it doesn't really taste like anything else that's out there. So that's something that I've been kind of gravitating to. Being able to make a blend that doesn't taste like anything else without having to use like pipe tobacco or without having to infuse the cigar or put cognac on it or anything like that. If you're able to get a really unique profile out of your cigar just using whatever natural tobacco is out there, that makes me a fan. So that's why I've really been on that kick lately. Is that the one with the Irish clover leaf? Nah. Um, the main band is it's a white band with a gold emblem up there, and I don't know what the emblem actually is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's white and gold, and the secondary band is either orange, it's either white, or it's green with gold lettering on it. Casa 1910. Matt, what up, man? I've been talking about you, brother. Glad you're here, man. It's late here in Japan, bro. I just needed to chop it up with my people and have a good time. I hope you're doing well, brother. How's that Menelik, bro? The Menelik has been fantastic. It's been great. It's still holding on. I stopped quite a few times doing this just to be like, God damn, this is a good cigar. So, but you know how it is, man. We've been talking about Nick Melillo and just how consistent he's been in general. So that's been keeping me going, man. This is the perfect cigar tonight. It was between this and the La Patisserie, and this cigar kind of worked out because it was gonna give me enough time to sit back and smoke it. So I've been doing this live for like an hour and 30 minutes right now, and it's still kicking and still outstanding. You know how it is. What's going on with you, brother? How you doing today? He said for Cigar Hound Dog, he just watched the 2003 RP review. I'm sorry that that one was messed up, but I trust your palate. Me personally, I only like the white label from RP. And I'm gonna piggyback off of that. And one thing I will say is if it's anybody's palate that I trust, it's Matt's. And not saying that just because that's my homeboy, but for real, when it's certain people when you watch reviewers and you watch people who really take the time to understand cigars. When I did the beginning of this live, I was talking to y'all about like just how people come across as genuine and like they're not, putting on a persona for the camera. Matt, from meeting him in person, talking to him in the group chat, doing the lives with him, he never changes. And on top of that, like dude really is cerebral about his cigars and his reviews. So I always take my cap off to him just because like I trust what he's saying. For the most part, we agree on a lot of cigars and we don't agree on everything, Magic Toast. But even still, when he's telling you what a flavor profile is, or he's giving you an honest reaction, if he's giving you a reaction to the peppers or whatever the case may be, I know I can trust those notes. Even if I'm not going to get the exact same thing, I know it's going to be in that ballpark. And that's the reason why, honestly, dude is killing it in this just in this review game in general is just because he's dope. And I'm not saying that because he's here. If he wasn't here, I would be saying that. Like I really, really, really rely on his reviews. I rely on his palate. I rely on his feedback. If I'm just throwing and spitballing with the fellas, like I'm hoping that he's gonna give me something that I can glean from and I can kind of take and work on, just because his palate is that dope. Just taking a little break from work, making a short. Woof woof. uh, I got this idea for a short, man. I hope it's gonna come out okay. It's gonna take me a little time to film it. I gotta wait till I get my phone back. I told you guys the other day that my phone like completely died. I didn't mean that like the battery died on it, like the phone just. Oh yeah, I told y'all that. I told you that the pics would just cut out, and then I'm trying to find a new phone. But once I get my phone back, I got a pretty dope short I want to do. So I got to catch up to you guys when it comes to doing these shorts. Let's see. I'm in Saudi Arabia, and Cuban price hikes are off the chain, not in a good way. How are the price hikes in Japan? Here's the cool thing about that's a great question. Here's the cool thing about Japan. They have been price hikes, right? But the way Japan works when it comes to um, cigar prices, they set a specific price, and whatever that price is in Osaka, in Okinawa, Hokkaido, Tokyo, or bumfuck Japan, it's all gonna be the same price. So honestly, when I go out and get Cubans, I've been getting them at a pretty good price range. They're still expensive because they're Cubans, but they're not super expensive. And right now, the yen rate is at like 140 to the dollar. So pretty much everything is pretty affordable as far as like the exchange rate from the dollar to the yen rate. So that has been coming in handy. And I feel really bad because I want Japan to be successful, and because I'm living here and I want the people to really be able to have a valuable currency rate. But I'm taking full advantage of this. I'm trying to go out this weekend to get a whole bunch of Cubans to send out to some people, because like everybody's been sending me bombs and I haven't been able to send them out to people the way that I wanted to. But I'm trying to go out and get some Cubans for a whole lot of people. And that yen rate is gonna save my ass right now going out here and buying some of these Cubans. So, oh wow, I thought they would be the most pricey in Tokyo. They're pricey. Don't get me wrong, they're still pricey, but the yen rate has gone so low that it's been able to get them at a reasonable price, and they price lock based. So whatever that's set, they got to go through a whole process with their government to change and change the prices, and then that price rate is going to be countrywide. So that's kind of helping me out right now. Yes, Matt is awesome. I love that the two of my favorite YouTubers are friends. Yeah, that's my homie, man. I really rock with him. Also, thanks to Matt, I ordered a ton of the Amazon basin, and you are winning with that Amazon basin. I could easily, when I was telling you guys about that list that I'm doing with the flavor bombs, I really considered putting the Amazon basin up there. I didn't put it up there honestly because between the Amazon basin and the Eye of the Shark, I really feel like I've been like talking about those cigars a little too much. So I wanted to give a couple other cigars some shine that I felt like out there. And I really do like the buyer's guides and the top tens so people can kind of go through the list and figure out like what they want to put in their humidor. So I try to make it and curate it so that everybody is like I'm giving everybody options. That's kind of my goal with that. What YouTubers have a trash palette? I'm trying to debate right now. Am I gonna answer that? Give me a second on this one. Honestly, it's hard for me to say, and it's hard for me to answer. One, I don't want to be really negative. That's one thing I've really been trying to stay away from. I don't think it's anybody out there that I would say like really has a trash palate, but it was more so what I was talking to you guys about earlier, where I kind of feel like that some of the reviewers are kind of disingenuous, and I kind of feel like they're really trying to either placate to certain brands and trying to get notoriety more so than giving you a genuine opinion of what they feel about a cigar. So I'll say that. I'll say that there's some reviewers who are out there, and it's funny because like when I'm talking with the new wave fellas, like we go back and forth and we talk about different reviewers and we talk about different shows that we've seen and things like that. And we really like try not to be disparaging. Sometimes we are, to be honest, but we really try not to be disparaging. But you get certain people, man, that just I can't really trust how they present themselves, and I know that they're doing a lot of this to try to like get somebody's attention. They're trying to get Drew Estate's attention. They're trying to get Nick Melillo's attention. They're trying to get Saka's attention. Those are the cats that I generally stay away from. So sometimes when they're sending me reviewers, I don't know who these people are because if I watch your review and I feel like you're disingenuous, I'm not going back to your channel. So it's really hard for me to say that. So I'm not gonna get myself in trouble with that one. I'll leave it there. The Bro Anity's Smoker Spot out in Germany is on point too. He's another go-to for me. Smoker Spot. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I need to check him out. I don't know him. He hasn't come across my feed, so I need to check that out. I know you're into hip hop, and are you in Japan? So DJ Honda plus Biz Markie. That's a classic, man. Honda is an absolute legend in the game. He's a legend. I haven't rocked with DJ Honda in a long time, but you talking about two people who are certified legends as far as hip hop. And what's really cool? If you haven't checked out it's a female MC. She's from Okinawa, but I think she's in Tokyo right now. Her name is Awitch. She is super dope. She's one of those artists that can do a little bit of everything. So if you get a chance, check out Awitch. She is dope. I actually on my other channel that's kind of defunct right now, but it's still up. I think it's like 14,000 views on it. I did a review for one of her songs, and I love this chick. And there's another cat named Miyachi. He's Hafu. He's from New York and from Tokyo. He's super dope too. He got a song about Family Mart. Is one of the conveniences out here that's just so dope. It's yeah. So it's some good MCs and some really good DJs out here. Um, there's a beach that I go to during the summer called I think it's Moroto Coast, the Moroto Coast, and they got this thing called Oasis where they bring a lot of different music artists, hip hop, jazz, reggae, and they do a lot of really cool musical acts and stuff like that. There's some really good artists that come out there too. What up, Kendall? You were up early or late for me, man. Like I had to do this one because I wanted to get off work and I wanted to enjoy a good cigar. Shout out to the Menelik. I just wanted to, have a conversation, and I didn't know this many people was gonna come onto the live, man, because I knew for the states, especially if you were like on the West Coast or Midwest, that it was gonna be super early for y'all. But when you time in these time zones, man, I either got to be up really early or I got to be up really late to hang out with y'all. So that's just kind of the way it worked out, man. I just wanted to hang out with y'all for a little bit. Teriyaki Boys featuring Kanye West. I used to love her. I think I've heard that one, man. I got to go dig that up, Jerome. I got to check that out. And oh man, that's what I'm here for, man. I love answering questions, Cal. Like that's what I do, man. Um, so don't feel like it's anything special, man. I'm here to kick it with y'all. I'm here to chill, answer questions, and just talk shit and just enjoy cigars with y'all, man. That's what it's all about. It's only like 4 or 5 of y'all that I watch. And all right, man. When it comes to reviewers, man, I think that's a good thing to kind of pick out the people that really work for you. That's going to give you the information that is necessary. And I think it's our responsibility as reviewers to really like portray who we are and to really identify what this culture is all about. And integrity is probably the most important thing to these cigar reviews. You're spending your money and you're kind of influencing. We are influencers, right? And DJ and I and the whole crew kind of had a conversation about like what it is to be an influencer. And you have these people that just don't want to be labeled as influencers. It's almost like saying woke. It's like these buzzwords that people are just rebelling against at this time right now. But I know that over the time that I've done this, the same way that I looked at Dr. Joe, and the same way that I looked at Mr. Lancero and Ron Real, and Cowboy, like they influenced me to do this, right? And you don't take that lightly. Like if like for me to come on and give you guys a buyer's guide, right? Or to give you guys a top 10, or from reviewing a specific cigar, you guys have to be able to trust my opinion. You got to trust my palate, and you got to trust my approach to cigars and how I'm taking care of my cigars and all that kind of shit. So my integrity is everything, right? So it makes sense to kind of find that niche in those people who are doing reviews that work well with you. And it was cool for me to be able to find Michael Prisdale, and to find Matt, and to find DJ, and to find people that I can actually relate to and bond with. And it's other cats like I want to smoke and smoke one if you got them. Like it's been some people who I've met that I really enjoy talking to, and I enjoy their perspective on cigars. There's a lot of other people that I'm not mentioning, but I talk to them, you know, outside of doing the lives and all that kind of stuff, man. And having that kind of integrity and the people that you really trust their opinion on cigars means everything. Do I like any of the Davidoff Chinese Zodiacs, or do you think they're overhyped? I've only had the ox, the tiger, and the rabbit, and my favorite is the rabbit. And I can't wait for the dragon for 2024. My opinion on the whole Zodiac thing, I really think the majority of it is a big gimmick. And I've been kind of frustrated with Placencia and Davidoff, but some of them are good. I'm not the best person to talk about with that because like I don't like I really feel like it's a gimmick. And some of the cigars are good. Don't get me wrong, but it's just when it comes to me like spending my money on that, I don't think like they really separate themselves from any of the other cigars that are out there. Sorry, I'm spitting again, but I think a lot of it is just people are spending more money on the idea of the branding of the Zodiac and all that more so than what the flavor profile is going to be. I haven't had any of them that I was talking a moment ago about like having a unique profile really like makes me talk about your cigar, and it really makes me want to go and smoke it again. Like you can almost identify if you're having a Hoya de Nicaragua, depending on which cigar it is, you can almost identify it just by smoking it. The Kintsugi, you can identify it just by smoking it. The Mikarita, you can identify it just by smoking it. I don't feel like any of those Zodiac cigars has ever done anything that stood out. The OMAC, you kind of know what that cigar is all about when you smoke it. I just don't feel like any of those cigars really made anything for me to say like, oh, the Ox is so much, the Rabbit is so much better than like. Hopefully the Dragon is good. I know a lot of people are gonna buy it when it comes out, but it doesn't really like make my meter go off. That's just me. It just doesn't really wow me like that. My man said, Justin said, I absolutely missed the Dr. Joe show. He was dope. He was probably one of my favorites, man. And he was one of my favorites because it's really hard to do long form content that way, that is that nerdy and that specific and that detailed to keep people's interest, and he did it. And it was really important. I think he was really important to the cigar industry, and he was really important to the consumers, especially when it came to Cuban cigars. When I started I Want to Smoke that was like who I wanted to pattern myself after, is being able to do like a long form show where I was really detailed and talking about the wrappers and talking about the blends, talking about the blenders, and just kind of giving my experience on smoking that cigar. I didn't want to do my show exactly like him, but he was a huge influence on just the way that I perceive cigars, the way that I research cigars and all that. Like he was a really big deal to me, man. So I miss him too. Justin said, I'm not paying for those Zodiacs either, from either one. Complete waste of money, in my opinion. If people would quit paying that much, they would drop the prices. And yeah, that's what DJ has been saying for a while too. So, and I totally agree with that. I'm totally on board with that. But hey, man, people are gonna buy stuff like that. Those gimmicks work. And hey, you know, it's certain. It's a certain audience for that, and it works for them. It's the same thing with movies. It's like the Fast and the Furious. The those movies make billions of dollars. Somebody's gonna buy into that. Is it my type of thing? It's not for me. I don't want to spend my money on it, but hey, whatever sells, sells. Um, I like hearing the nuanced varying opinions from everyone. I hate it when folks think that just because you paid a lot for a cigar, it has to be good. I'm a collector, so I like this. And you know what? And that's a good point. And I'm kind of glad you mentioned that about the whole collector thing on that. I was um I was I was kind of making a point, similar to that not too long ago, that I was comparing the cigar industry to the sneaker industry. And, you have a lot of these limited editions, you have the LCAs, and, you have these Zodiac things and, all this kind of stuff. And it's meant for the collector. So, and if you are a cigar collector, then that is right up your alley. So don't feel bad. Don't feel like I'm talking down to you or being condescending, because I really try not to be. I don't consider myself a cigar collector. There are certain cigars that that collector in me like wants to get certain things from my palate, or that is something that kind of intrigued me, and that works. But I'm not about to just spend a bunch of money just to have a cigar sitting there. I like to smoke my cigars, and I like to compare my cigars and do all that. But if that it's certain things that make people click, like collecting sneakers, or collecting cards, or whatever whatever that is, and video games, whatever. And I don't knock that. And that part of the industry is designed perfectly for you, and I think that's a cool thing. So I totally understand you on that. He said it worked on me for sure. He said, I got the issues fixed with the tea. I appreciate you, man. I was checking with my wife today, Kendall, to see if anything came through in the mail yet, man. So I'm waiting on that, and we gonna chop it up. We definitely gonna, like, I'm excited about being able to sit back with a new tea, with a good cigar, and just having a conversation with you, man. So we're gonna do that soon for sure. The question is, which Arturo Fuente or Opus X was the worst for you, if any? Mm, John and I were kind of going back and forth. This is Cigar Alchemist. We're going back and forth. We were talking about this recently. He loves the Angel Share, and when I was down in Okinawa, I got my first Angel Share, and it was just a lackluster cigar for me. That was the only one that I was like really down on. And I've smoked a few Opus X recently, and none of them were really I dislike the cigar, but that was probably like my least favorite out of all of them. But if I go through just kind of like the mental collection of Fuentes, I can't think of a Fuente that was really like a major letdown for me. Um, like I love the Chateau, I love the Sun Grown, um, the Hemingway line. I really like that, and you guys know I rant and rave about the Don Carlos. Um, oh, the Rare Pink. I really didn't love the Rare Pink, and I love cigars that kind of have that floral note to it. Like I love the Chinchale. Um, and I love the Southern Draw, Rose of Sharon, and I really enjoyed that. But when it came to that rare pink, shouts out to Matt for sending that to me. I wasn't a big fan of that one. That's one off the top of my head. Sorry I had to work through that, but yeah, that rare pink was one. Um, it's a loose leaf tea that I got you. I know, man. I'm excited to be able to, hopefully I make that right. I haven't made a really good tea in a while, so especially if it's loose leaf, I don't think I have any like what do you call that? Like cheesecloth. I don't think I have any cheesecloth, but hopefully some of my wife's stuff will be able to help me strain that out and make a really good tea. Let's see. Justin said he's out. Peace out, man. Thank you for joining in, man. I'm always happy to see you on the lives or any other shows that we do, man. It's dope. I had an Opus X Oro Oscuro Robusto and an SP 1014 Red this weekend for my birthday. Let's just say my sock's still on with both of them. And I feel you on that, man. I gotta say that I was really, really, really impressed by the SP 1014, but I get it. Not every cigar is gonna be that thing. It's just gonna blow you away. And sometimes, man, you gotta smoke a few of them for it to really like click and for it to really hit. But I really enjoyed that love and passion. That was really good for me. Um, but I think the other day I had the SB 1014 and then the H99, and I think I like the H99 better than the SP. But that might have just been the time that I smoked it. It's kind of hard to say. My man said a T-ball. I got, we'll see, Kendall. I don't. We'll see. I'm not the best with with the tea science and all that kind of stuff. Usually people are making the teas for me, so we'll see how this goes, brother. Interesting because the rare pink is my favorite Fuente besides the Hemingway Maduro, and dude, I can understand why. I think for me is that when it came to looking at how Fuentes usually hit for me and how floral cigars usually hit for me, I thought it was gonna hit a bit harder. And I smoked a couple of those, man. I probably had three of them max, and I had different vitolas. And I think I don't know if it was my own expectations, especially being the with the pedestal that I put Fuente on, that it just didn't hit the way that I wanted it to. But it's not a bad cigar. So I would imagine that you enjoyed it, man. So I'm not surprised at that at all. You got to expound on that T-ball, Kendall. So maybe we can chop it up offline to see what that's about. So we got Steve Hall. Steve said, "I smoke 5 cigars daily." Then you on that Jordan level, bro. And I've never had a Fuente anything that I liked, and I smoked them all. You smoked the Eye of the Shark, and you smoked the Extra Añejo Shark, and you didn't like those for real. I like the Padron number 90 Maduro. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I still got to try a few more of those. Kendall, I got to try. I know I got to try the 80th. I got to try the 90th. But y'all know how I am with Padron. Is they cool, but like my man just said, my socks are still on when I smoke those. Lately, I've been on the Bandolero and in the Torpedo and the Traficantes. That Bandolero was money, man. I did like that Bandolero. I had a Byron the other day. I was kind of disappointed in that Byron. I thought it was gonna be better, but I think from that brand, I'll prefer the Atabey and the Bandolero um, before anything else. The Atabey is still number one out of that line to me. He said, I agree though, it should be regular production and not limited. Yeah, pretty much, man. I'm long overdue for a Padron. Haven't had one since 2017. Which Padrons are in your top three? Dude, you're not gonna get a top three for me with Padron, man. I'm not the biggest Padron fan. I think they're cool. I love it. Go back. I got a video where I talk about Padron, and I think they're overrated. Um, I don't know. I'm still exploring on that one, but all the Padrones that I've had they're kind of one note to me, They're excellently constructed. They burn perfectly. They're a really good brand and they do really good. I just think they're overpriced and overdone. Yeah, I got a 5 pack, so I'll keep something. Yes, Byron is very disappointing. So it wasn't just me. I thought maybe it was just me. Kendall said I got 2 Byron cigars. I have not smoked them yet. When you smoke them, I want your opinion on those. I just recently had that Selection 1885, is it? Somebody can correct me on that if I got the numbers wrong on that. And I know Matt recently had that cigar too. It's just I wasn't in love with it, man. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of a Davidoff and one of the white label Davidoffs. It was just kind of too mild, and just it didn't have a lot of depth. I'll say that it didn't have a lot of depth. Also, yes, Padron is also disappointing. Yeah, I mean, I know people will die hard for Padron, and I knew I was going to be controversial with my opinions on Padron, but I try to elaborate on that. That like you can have these well constructed cigars, and you can have these deep Maduros and these peppery cigars, but they can still give you more of a flavor content, and they can give you some more depth than just having just these one note cigars. So, you know, like I said, I would rather have some of the Hoya de Nicaraguas. I would rather have Steve Saka cigars from Dunbarton. I would rather have Cavalier. There's some really dark and well-made cigars that I would prefer that are going to give me those richer notes. I would rather have a La Galera and a Moy than I would for Padron, but that's me. Let's see. He said, yeah, Byron should be at like 10 to 15, not the crazy price they are now. And I totally agree with that. I don't think they should really be, and I think the same thing for Davidoff. I don't think they should really be as expensive as they are. But hey, sometimes these brands have been able to put themselves in that upper echelon, and people are going to pay for it. Just not me. He said, I like a good IPA. Anything you suggest to pair with that? Mm. So I'm not a beer drinker, and I'm not as good as Michael Prisdale when it comes to like pairings, and maybe my man Kendall will give some good feedback on pairings with that. But IPA is going to give you some really bitter notes, and it's going to give you some really strong you know notes with that. So I would really go towards something sweeter, something complex. So I would recommend the Quattro Cinco. I would recommend the Cavalier Black. Uh, I would recommend Atabey for sure, and probably the Julius Caesar. And the reason why I'm saying that because they're gonna give you these rich, they're gonna give you the spice, they're gonna give you the wood notes, but they're also gonna give you like a level of sweetness to kind of balance that bitter out a little bit. So just off of the way that I pair things, I think that will work really well. But honestly, I would recommend that you check out Michael Prisdale or talk to my man Kendall. I think they will give you greater feedback than what I would say on that. He said I will smoke one tonight. So Kendall, when you smoke that, man, give me your feedback on that. I've seen nothing but positive reviews on the La Galera Imperial Jade. That Jade is absolute fire. That Jade is fire. It is fire. I just ordered 5 from Neptune. Have you had one? Yes, I have, and I love that cigar. I think I actually have a review on the channel for that one. So go dig through that. If so, how did you like it? Just answer that. The fact that a Cameroon rapper piqued my. I love Cameroon. Like, y'all see how I am about the Don Carlos. I love Cameroon rappers. I talk about that all the time. But La Galera is probably one of the most underrated brands that is out there in general right now. And that Jade is fantastic. The Anamoy is fantastic. The Connecticut is fantastic. La Galera is killing it. Yeah, it's just safe to say Foundation got the foot on the next. Found like really like dude, I would before I would go to a Padron, I would go to a Olmec, and just I would really recommend that highly over Padron. But that's just me. JR Cigars did a good pairing guide for IPA beer. That's a good recommendation right there. Shouts out to you for that, Kendall. I'm a hazy IPA drinker. Same bro, like a good hazy. That's what's up. And this is what I love about these chats, man, that you guys can like. kind of fill in on the stuff that I like that I'm not as super versed in. Some of you guys might be, new. A lot of the names I know. Some of you are like new, and I'm glad to see you guys in here. I don't drink um, liquor at all, and I rarely ever drink beer. When it comes to me, if I drink a beer, it's usually a sour. That's really the most that I'll drink, or I drink those light as foo, like lemon or lime beers or something like that. Occasionally, I'll have a Corona, but it's very rare that I even drink beer. I'm more of a wine drinker myself. I've never had liquor in 43 years. I've never had liquor ever. I've never been drunk. I've had IPAs before, just trying it with friends and stuff like that. But like those really hoppy, bitter beers, this is not my thing, man. I'm so sorry, to disappoint, but that's just not my lane. Even being here in Japan, like they love beer here. They love beer. You guys probably already know that. The women, the men, uh, the suit and tie cats, the salary men, everybody out here. They drink craft beer. They drink IPAs. Uh, uh, I think the other day I sat at a bar and I had what do they call that? Is it ashi ashi Asashi or something like I had it's a super dry that's really popular out here. I had one of those the other day, and I drank probably the neck of that, and that's the most that I've had of a beer, and I don't know how long. It's just not my lane. I just don't drink like that. I also ordered the CAO BX3. It's a good cigar from Neptune, mostly positive reviews. It'll be my first time having one. Have you had one? Yeah, I got one. I smoked one not too long ago, and I got another one that I was trying to do a comparison on that. Matt really loves that cigar. It's a good one. I don't like. I've only had it the one time, so I'm probably not going to give you the best review on it right now. But I think it's enjoyable, and just in general, like I think CAO um, to be like one of the larger brands that are out there. I like that they experiment with a lot of different blends and they do a pretty good job. That's one of those that's a standout for me. I like the CAO Gold. I like the Flathead series, and of course, I rant and rave about the Amazon. So that's definitely one that's you did the right thing getting that cigar. So I hope you really enjoy it. I think it's really worth it. John, what up, man? Good to see you, brother. I was just talking about you just a moment ago, my man. Um, I only drink coffee or dark chocolate hot cocoa. That sounds fantastic. I love dark chocolate. And usually, like after a cigar, I go down and I get these Japanese dark chocolates all the time. I sent some of those to my man Kendall. They are really good. Even tea. I personally don't like alcohol taste. I found that it conflicts with the taste, in my opinion. I can see that. So if you're like me, you're really sensitive to alcohol taste. Like my wife is always bugging out. Like she try to sneak alcohol and stuff that like for food or drinks and stuff like that, and I can just pick it out because alcohol stands out. It's so prominent for me. Like it's really hard for me to drink anything that has alcohol in it, and I can't taste the alcohol. So I'm with you on that. Beer and gin tear up my stomach, and they probably would for me too, bro. I don't really mess with it a lot, man. I can't imagine like drinking like gin or like yeah, that's not my lane, bro. Um, I get most expensive cigars from Luxury Cigar Club, the Sapphire. Okay, yeah, yeah. I know, like you really talk highly. I need to contact Luxury Cigar and see if they will send some stuff out to me. Uh, I figure you guys will be working around now, man. So I just thought I would listen. I hope you're doing well, bro. And hey, man, I'm doing okay. And you guys have been holding me down, John. So I appreciate you. I hope you're doing well too, my man. Thanks for joining in, man. Y'all are my brothers, man. I love having y'all around. Um, I enjoy a good red wine, and that's my lane, Cal. Like that's really my thing. Like you give me a good red wine. I'm trying to do the review for Saka's Red Meat Lovers, and I want to have a really good red wine with that. It's been hard for me to get a good red wine out here lately. Like everything has been, Cab Sauvignon, and that's cool. I tried it the other night to try to get a good Pinot Noir the other day, and they didn't have it. The motherfucker bought me a Pinot Grigio. I was hot. I don't know, like, how do you mix that up? And you're a bartender. Like, what are you doing? But that happens sometimes. I said, yes, my daughter and wife killed that candy. I got a few of them. Hey, man, this Japanese candy is crazy, man. So, I'm not mad at them at all. Have you had any of the El Septimos Sacred Arts editions? I have not, man. The El Septimos have kind of missed me. I haven't gotten any. I haven't gotten any from a bomb or anything like that. But that's a brand that I need to dig into a lot more. I know a lot of people are really like into the El Septimos. It's just not really been my thing. Hold on for a second, guys. Yes, sweetheart. Okay, I'll check it out in a little bit. Okay. You know what to do. Sorry about that. That was my daughter. I don't know why she's still up right now anyway, but it's summer. Um, I make my own at home. You make your own beer, wine, or candy? Mm-hmm. Please. Let's see. They're pretty good for me. Oh, the El Septimos, yeah. A lot of people really are really on that El Septimo train right now. That's really not like something that I'm super versed on. So hopefully I'll get some more of those. Once I get some more of those, I'll do some reviews on that. So sorry about the interruption there, man. Let's see. Oh, he said I make my own wine at home. Man, I always wanted to try that, man. Like that's a really complex thing to do is to make your own wine. Um, if I get a chance, dude, I'm gonna try to send you like this wine that's out here. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. There's a grape that is a mountain grape that's here in Japan. I got to get the name of the actual grape, but Budo means grape here, so it's Yama Budo mountain grape. It's fantastic, man. So hopefully I can get that to you. He said, I don't understand why they decided to make $3 million torch lighter. Who did that? Who made a $3 million torch lighter? Who is that? I got to figure out what that's about, Jerome. Oscar the Bosphorus was the most disappointing new cigar. Also, the La Patisserie. It's kind of funny that you said that. Like Steve, like initially when that Oscar the Bosphorus came out, it was outstanding. Like it didn't grow on me like I expected it to. I still like the cigar, but I thought it was gonna grow and be a lot better. But it's a good cigar to me. But I feel like, and me and Matt was talking about this, they kind of tapered off a little bit. Oh, and Jerome was talking about the El Septimo. My bad. Um, but yeah, and the La Patisserie, I almost smoked that one tonight. Like if I stay out here any longer, I'm gonna light that cigar up. Matter of fact, y'all stay right there. Don't go anywhere just yet. What's up? It's like a centipede down, and it also there's a bug, a flying bug in the living room. We don't know what it is. All right, if it's a flying bug, you don't have to worry about it. If it comes around, you can spray it. But this one, just spray that one, and don't worry about it. It's just a bug. It's not gonna hurt you. Just spray it, okay? I already sprayed it. Thanks, son. Dealing with these Japanese bugs, man. All right, so I'm not gonna stay out here much longer, but I'm gonna light this bad boy up. So we got the La Patisserie. I honestly haven't had this since the original. That's the last time I've had La Patisserie. So y'all remember that original like smaller Vitola, and that was almost like it was almost like a Lancero. So let's see what this is like. I probably won't finish the cigar, but we're gonna roll with it right now. Let me catch back up to what you guys are talking about. CAO Basin or the Anaconda. I'm gonna try it out. Amazon Basin, bro. Go with that Amazon Basin. That thing is money to me. Let's see. El Civil cigars are overpriced for what you get. I've heard that a lot too, Kendall. So I don't have much of an opinion on that just because I haven't tried it yet. I also make my own wine and beer. Dude, you're like an alchemist, man. Let's see. I'm a brown liquor guy, and that hibiki pairing with any of my cigars are pretty good. Like people love hibiki out here and in the states. I think that's probably like the most Japanese um, whiskey that I've seen the most. But I have no idea what the hibiki or sake tastes like. I have no clue. But I hear great things as far as pairing with that. Let's see what this La Patisserie is all about. Let's see. I have a box of CO Amazon Basin agent right now, and you can't lose with that, Steve. That really is such a great cigar, man. Have you lit one up at all? Have you tried any of them before to see what it's going to be like from now to the aging process? Let's see. That's a good cigar. I love the number 50 Vitola. For which one? If you can make your own signature cigar, what would it be? That's a great question. Um, I think for me, I would try something that was going to be in a Vitola that is very similar to the unicorn. Something that's in a double perfecto with a very like old school double perfecto type of Vitola, kind of in the figurado double perfecto type thing. I just, I like that Vitola. Um, y'all know I love the shark, and I love anything that's kind of like in the Lonsdale Corona lane. But that for me, that's going to be something that's more unique. I would love to be able to do something like that. That um, that wasn't going to be as expensive as as a unicorn. Man, I've thought about this because I was working on a lot of different ideas that if I ever became a blender, I would want to have something like in the stash that's like, hey, this is what you're gonna use. More than likely, it's gonna have a Cameroon wrapper. If it's not gonna be Cameroon, then it's probably gonna be either Connecticut broadleaf or Mexican San Andres. I would probably do something weird, like do like you know like a Connecticut binder or something like that. I would probably want to try to zig a little bit with the binder just to see how that would work and see if I can get like a nice balance of like spicy and sweet. So I would probably go for like the filler to be a little bit more robust, something like with Pennsylvania in there and some deep Ligeros. I think my uh, video timed out for a second on that. So I would want to have something like as far as the fillers being like rich and dark and kind of give it some peppery and creamy notes and then have like the wrapper and the binder be a little bit on the sweeter side. But I'm not a master blender, but that's kind of what I would go for. That's kind of like how my palate works. I like that sweet. Sorry about my signal going in and out right now. I just like the previous Amazon Basin. Haven't smoked the new one. What didn't you like about it? Because that kind of makes sense to me because I can see why someone wouldn't like it. Because one thing that's really unique about the Amazon Basin is like you really taste the Amazon of it. Like you get the wet leaves and you get that musky kind of like rainforest kind of profile from it. But for me, like it gives you so much with the balance of the other notes in there and with all the peppers and all that kind of stuff. Like it really balances out. And there's nothing that is on the market that tastes like that cigar to me. And I talk to you guys, like I love something that's really unique and like really far away, from a lot of the other flavors that's out there. My man G, what up? Team Vintage Cigar for real, man. What's up, homie? How you been, man? I hope everything good. I seen you've been smoking good. I've been peeping out, man. You've been smoking really good lately, bro. I hope all is well. Let's see. I just finished my last Atape. We been going through them after you, Jerome. About to cut up and light up Fuente Destino Al Siglo. You smoking good too. I like that. You smoking top shelf, my man. Good lemonade is a nice pairing for me. Yo, so Cal, I've been talking about this a lot recently. Um, and when I get the podcast going, I'm probably gonna talk about that a lot more. Acid really opens up your palate, and it really gives you a broader, taste on everything that you're getting out of your cigar. People laugh at me all the time because I tell everybody like pair your cigars with cranberry juice, and it's gonna open up everything, and you're gonna taste some things that you've never tasted before out of your cigar. And I found this out just because that's what I drink. I love grapefruit juice. I love lemonade. I love cranberry juice. I love orange juice. I love really acidic drinks, right? And then I watched the guy that owns Boveda. He was doing a show, and he was talking about how acid scientifically really opens up your palate, and it enhances the flavor profiles. And I was like, I knew I wasn't tripping. I knew I wasn't tripping. And he kind of like solidified that for me. So like that's why that lemonade is works so well. So you're getting the sweet in there, you're getting the acid, and it's definitely gonna just improve and enhance everything that you're pairing it with. I just started drinking ginger ale. I find that it's a decent pairing with cigars. Gonna try some lemonade. So the thing with that too, with the ginger kind of has a similar effect to the acid. Um, it's kind of like what ginger and garlic does to your food, like when it enhances everything that's in there, and that's why lemon and ginger go so well. So like if you like make like ginger and lemon lemonade and put some mint in there, it is outstanding. You can do that with watermelon as well too, and it's just it makes everything pop and open up. That's a good way to go. So I love ginger ale. I love the spiciness. So like if you have a spicy cigar, that ginger ale takes that spice level up a notch. So you got to really want that spice. But man, that the way the ginger works with spices, man, it's an interesting. I don't know the science behind it, but I know that works. I love desserts flavors with musty aged tobacco. Yeah, that for me that is really what makes an Amazon so good, because those musty notes, and then that very you know rich wet leaves and all that kind of stuff. It's fantastic. Do you like the Drew Estates KFC line? That's not really my thing. um I don't hate it. Sorry, I'm trying to taste this La Patisserie, but it wasn't really my thing. I'll have one if it's around, but that's really not my lane. Currently smoking the Fat Molly sweet tip, but not infused. To me, that's kind of the same thing. I know, and I get it, and it gives you that sweetness on the lips, and it gives you that sweetness on the palate. I'm not mad at it. It's just those are not really my lane. Root beer and Dr. Pepper is a good cigar pairing, and one that's made with real sugar. Yeah, once again, sugar is hygroscopic. It kind of creates that same thing on the palate. But the root beer and the Dr. Pepper, once again, they have those spices that work really good, especially when you have like the Maduros, um, like when you have like a broadleaf or, something like that. Cameroon, it enhances all of those. I'm a big fan of those. I'm not the best when it comes to pairings, but because I don't feel like I'm super educated, but just from naturally what I know from culinary school and just trying things with my palate, they stand out to me. Have you had the JC Newman American? Somebody just recently asked me about that. I like those, and I like the American Seal Band too. It's a cool band. It kind of gives me like that old school Captain America feel. I have that cigar down there. I kept all of those CAOs. I got like the Brazil, the Colombia, the American, and it's a couple more that I have down there. And I was gonna kind of do a comparison with all of those, so I haven't smoked it yet. The American is one that is just, it's probably the only one that I haven't had at all. I know that Brazil is fantastic, and I like Brazil tobacco, but the American is one that I have to try. And is that Pennsylvania? Does it have like some Pennsylvania leaf in there? Let me know. I'm not sure. Just got back. What are you smoking now? The La Patisserie Crown Heads. So somebody mentioned it, and I had it. I was gonna pull the cigar out anyway, so I just decided to light it up. And so we're gonna see if this is really a good cigar. He mentioned that it kind of let him down a little bit, and I don't know if my palate is just kind of burned out from that Menelik, but I'm not getting much from this La Patisserie to be honest with you. It's smoking beautifully though. Like I love how it's smoking. Mm. Give me a second. I got to get what that flavor was that I really liked on that one. Was that like gingerbread that I just got? Oh, that was really nice. Yeah, it's like a gingerbread. That so far, man, this is actually pretty good. Ginger will reset your palate if you have some spicy foods before a cigar. You can definitely use ginger for that. That's what they do like as a palate cleanser in Japan, like when you're eating sushi and all that kind of stuff. But if you're doing it simultaneously, ginger will actually enhance a lot of the flavors that are in there. It's actually an excellent point. Rocky Patel Decade is still a go-to in any size. Rocky Patel, man, for me is kind of like hit or miss, but that Decade is really good. And that run that he was doing with the what was it, the number 9 or the number 6? I'm sorry, that's my dyslexia kicking in. I think it's what is it, number 6 and number 9? Which one is that? And this, I think it's 6. The 60 was really good. Um, it's been a couple that he was oh the ALR he was doing. So he had some fire stuff during that run that he was doing right then because he was doing some stuff at the wall just to kind of see what stuck for a minute and it just wasn't hitting. But that run he was doing, I think he was kind of making up for a lot of the shitty cigars that he put out. Connecticut rapper for the American. All right, my man. Appreciate you giving me an update on that. How do you feel about Tupperware for storing your cigars? Cal, let me tell you right now, man. I got a Need One humidor that was given to me recently, and I've been having so much trouble with that Need One. Like my humidity is going up and down. It's been a fight to kind of keep that, and part of that is because with the seasons changing here in Japan, like we have some really wild seasonal changes and some wild changes with the humidity. But the thing was like leaking water, and I don't have any water in there. I have no idea where the water was coming from in that thing. I've been fighting with that. But my Tupperware, all of my Tupper doors have been money. Everything I can pull a cigar out of there right now, light it up and smoke it, and I don't have a problem. For me, I think cost wise, get Tupperware, get some over the packs, and set it and let it. That's the way to go. Honestly, it's really it's to me it's been better than having a humidor. That's my opinion though. The Menelik is always heavy on my taste buds. I usually never smoke two cigars in the city. I rarely ever do that because sometimes, you can kind of overpower your second cigar. But there have been times where my second cigar has like shown me that the cigar that I was smoking before wasn't that great. That Menelik is I can see how that could overpower for a lot of people, but it's not as strong as some people let it on to be for me. I know I got in trouble one time was I was telling people like if you're a new smoker, don't just smoke Connecticut's. You can try a Menelik. I actually think a new smoker can enjoy the Menelik. I don't think it completely will destroy them, but I can see how you don't follow that up. But I can taste the cigar. It's okay. Robert said, "Peace from Philly. What's up, man? I'm smoking this La Patisserie. This is a fire joint right here. I got so what's your Philly spot, man? Where you go to get your Phillies from, your cheesesteak? Where you go? I'm kind of curious to see what you're gonna say about that. So my man Steve said he off to the gym, man. Get those gains, brother. What are your thoughts on the Boveda acrylic humidor? Honestly, man, like I don't have one for myself. I'm not against an acrylic humidor if it's sealed properly, if it's made well, and you can maintain your temperature in that. Roll with it. I don't know what the cost is on that one. I'm not really sure, but for real, I would rather just grab a Tupperware and set it and forget it. Cigar Hound Dog did a Menelik review. Y'all should check that out. Check out any of Cigar Hound Dog's reviews, but definitely check out that Menelik review. The man, like I said before, I trust that man's palate for anything, and I trust his reviews. The dude articulates everything so well. Robert said he goes to Max's for his steaks. Okay. Did I have Max's? I think I had Max's when I was there. My spot was Larry's, man. Larry's, I ate two Phillies in one night from Larry's. But okay. So glad I found this channel. Please keep it going. I'm still rolling, Tempo. I'm still rolling, man. I ain't going nowhere right now. I'm glad you found the channel too. Salute to you as well. Spread it out, tell your friends, hit that like button. Y'all show a lot of love, man. I really appreciate having y'all here, man. This is what I'm all about. Just talking cigars and kicking it with y'all. This makes my night. I've been going almost 3 hours and it's late as hell here in Japan. Um, he said I'm not new on smoking, but new to collecting cigars. And I've been using Tupperware. You're not doing anything wrong, bro. Like honestly, that is it's really the most efficient way to store cigars, and it's cost effective. Your cigars are gonna hold up. They're gonna age. You're gonna be able to do everything you need to do with that Tupperware. Cohiba Black is good for new cigar smokers. Yeah, I can see that being an intro. It's a lot of aged tobacco in there. I can see that. I'm not the biggest fan of the Cohiba line. I think me and you we've talked about this before, Kendall, but I think that's a good starter for people. I'm not mad at that at all. Um, this is like a virtual cigar lounge. Jerome, it's funny that you said that. If you go and read my bio that I wrote when I for this channel, when I first started it, that was my goal for this channel. That's really what I wanted this to be. I want everybody to be able to come in, talk cigars, talk sports, talk movies, talk about life. We're gonna kick it. We're gonna hang out. If you met me in any lounge that I've ever been to, this is what I do when I go to the lounge. I just chop it up with people and I just bounce ideas and we just vibe. That's really the goal, man. So big shouts out for that. Thanks for putting me on to the Davidoff Yamasa. Look, when it comes to Davidoffs, I'm very picky about the Davidoffs, and I think that Yamasa is something different. I told y'all I like unique flavor profiles. You're not gonna get much more unique than that Yamasa, especially coming from that Davidoff portfolio. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's funny, Jerome, when you say that, man. It's really hard as a creative to kind of have an idea and to really get your idea going and to make it become something that like whatever you envision it to be, to make it be that. So for you to give that feedback, man, it means everything, dude. Like I really, really, really wanted this to be like a lounge, man, and y'all making that happen. This can't be that without y'all giving, asking questions, giving your opinions, chopping up with people in the comment section. Y'all come through on the lives. Y'all come through and comment on the videos. It means everything to me, man. Y'all like relating to the polls. Y'all giving me new ideas. You give me new cigars to check out. This is what this is all about. That solves it. I'm grabbing a Tupperware. Can you give info on a specific one to grab? Look, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. Um, Really the only thing that's going to matter is if you're getting, make sure it's airtight. A lot of the brands are not really going to matter at that. You can always go with a classic like Rubbermaid, of course, but what you just want to do is just make sure it has that rubber seal, and then like when you before you buy it, just make sure you can press the air out and that it seals tight. Make sure if it has clasp on it that it seals tightly. That's really going to be the only thing that matters. If it's really good plastic, it's going to work. You don't have it's really it's the least scientific thing that you have to do. Excuse me, that you have to do. It's all a matter of is if it seals properly, if it's gonna hold that temperature and that RH in, that's all that matters. I go here to Japan, there's like a Daiso that's down the street, and I get them for like 100 yen. And that's that usually was an equivalent to $1. Now it's even less than $1, and I get the bigger ones. I get the taller ones to stand my cigars. I got like four of them down there, and they all are working, and they're all different brands. So don't worry about the brand on that. Just make sure it seals. Also, thanks for putting me on to Neptune. Yo, Neptune. Look, I didn't know that that show was gonna take off the way that it did when I was suggesting, for people to, uh, you know, find the top 10 websites, but Neptune has been money for me, and that show took off, and that's probably where I got the majority of the subscribers from for this channel. I'm gonna be for real, and that like I didn't know it was gonna hit like that, but I'm glad that it really worked out, and I'm glad I found something that was gonna be really beneficial to people who follow the channel and people who are in the cigars. I made that during COVID, and being here in Japan, it was really hard for me to get the cigars that I needed and wanted, and I needed to find these different websites to figure out how I was going to get cigars to do reviews. And that was a lifesaver for me. So I just said, hey, let me do this and let everybody know what I'm using right now. So those two shows have really taken off, part one and part two, part one especially. And Neptune, like you guys have no idea how many people come in my inbox and like, yo, Neptune is this, or Fox Cigars is the one, small batch is it. But especially Neptune, I get the most love for Neptune for sure. Rubbermaid Brilliance, food storage container, large 9.6 cups. See, I love when people come through. See, that's money. Thank you for showing love and giving some detail in there, kind of filling out the stuff that I'm saying. He said, I want your channel to grow. Now, having said that, I might get a little flack for this, but I only smoked the Super Mesa Brulee Gordo, and I had to get me a whole box. Nah, man, you ain't get no flack for that. You know, if you like that larger ring gauge, that's cool. Excuse me. Sorry about that, fellas. But yeah, man, that's cool, man. You like enjoy what you want. The whole thing is about this is like you got to get the cigars that work for you, and you got to figure out what works for your palate. So don't let nobody tell you what is good and what's not good, and not gonna work for you. The Davidoff Yamasa is nice. I've loved the Yamasa, the Nicaragua for sure. The Escurio, all of those are great, and that's why I made that buyer's guide for that Davidoff. I'm kind of disappointed. I actually made that one. I was joking with the fellas to see like if that episode was going to take off, but I kind of stepped on it with a couple of other shows. But I'm seeing that people actually, got a little something from that Davidoff episode, so that's dope. That Colorado Claro. So many people were mentioning that I should have mentioned that Colorado Claro a little bit more, and it was one of those that was going to be in the honorable mentions. Same with that Escurio, but I just kind of went with the ones that are like for my top. But those are great suggestions either way. You can fit about 20 to 30 depending on the size of the sticks. Yeah, oh man, I probably got more than that in some of the Tupperdoors in there. But yeah, that's the thing about it, man. You get a couple Tupperdoors, you can store, you know, 40 to 50 cigars in there, and you can sit pretty, and it's all good. The only thing I don't like about it is that there are no shelves that you can kind of like organize your cigars. I'm really particular about how I store my cigars, but hey, either way it works. Did Kendrick's last album have any replay value, or was it a one and done? Okay, I'm kind of glad you brought that up, so we can kind of go in a different direction. Um, for me, when it comes to Kendrick Lamar, my favorite Kendrick Lamar album is Good Kid, Mad City. That's my absolute favorite. It's a concept album. It was done beautifully. It's a lot of songs up there. All of the songs are unique, and um, it's probably the most cohesive out of all of his albums, and it's probably the more like you can really get an understanding of where he's coming from lyrically and who he is as a person. You get his background, you get his story on that. Then it's To Pimp a Butterfly. I did not like To Pimp a Butterfly. I understand the James Brown influences in there, and I understand what he was trying to do, culturally speaking, and given the more political prospect. I love that whole concept for the album. I didn't like the album. Damn, to me was um, it's almost like having a mixtape, and it's a collective of emotions in there, and it plays like a mixtape. And I love the majority of the songs on that one. That's my second favorite. This Steppers album, whatever, I didn't like it. So I will say it was like a one and done for me. It just didn't connect with me, man. I couldn't really get into the flow and what he was doing. Um, I'm gonna try to listen to it again, but it's just I just it I don't know what he was doing with this album. I know he was experimenting, and I know he was doing a lot of creative stuff on that. But just as far as the flows that he was using, and just kind of some of the theatrics that was happening on, sometimes to me, Kendrick can get a little bit overproduced, and I know that's kind of like a stereotype and not really like a hot take. But for me, that album and To Pimp a Butterfly was like, I love the fact that he's doing something in a different lane, and I love that he's not just being like every other rapper that's out there. I just couldn't get into those albums. So for me, Good Kid, Mad City, and Damn are my favorites. But that's just me. Um, I can like, to me, like Good Kid, Mad City, and Mr. Morale and the Steppers, like they're so far apart as albums to me. I don't know. I got to try it again, man. But and my man said he like Section 80. I can see why people love Section 80. I dig that one too. But I just think he kind of reached his pinnacle with Good Kid, Mad City for me. My man Dolce said, I love the content, bro. Keep it coming. I'm gonna keep it coming, man. And if you got any kind of feedback, anything you think I should throw out there, let me know, man. I'm doing this for y'all, man. Y'all are the reason why I'm here. Jerome said his favorite is To Pimp a Butterfly. Helped me get through a time as a contractor in Iraq. But Good Kid, Mad City is up there for me. And that's the beauty of an album, man. Like when you really find an album that you connect with, that kind of stays with you. Like for Tyler the Creator, I was stuck in California during the pandemic, and my family was here in Japan. I wasn't able to get to Japan yet. Igor is probably that same album for me. The way To Pimp a Butterfly worked for you while you were out there in Iraq, like that was the same concept for me, man. It was an album that really kind of gave me something to latch on to and something to sink into. So like that's the beauty of music, and that, like, I compare cigars, the same way. Sometimes you need something that you can kind of latch on to that'll just kind of help you meditate and relate to something. That's major, bro. I'm glad that album worked out for you like that. I didn't get into it, but I understand why so many people like it. Said I like Damn. I like it even more that it starts from the end like it should have from the start. And see, Ego is the same way, man. What's going on is that type of album. It's cyclical. Like you can connect it and you can just let it flow. And if you just let it keep playing, it's what an album should be. And it plays all the way around. That's a brilliant thing. I love artists that can do that and actually make it work. Did you like Untitled and Unmastered? It's my second favorite album. I listened to them. Um, to me, they felt like incomplete works, but it felt like he was kind of working on something, and like he was actually, making. He was finding a voice, and so I did like them, but they didn't feel complete to me. Um, if you can listen to "Damn" from Duckworth being the first song, play it backwards, it's better than me. What? It was another album that had that same effect to me, man. Uh, Oh, it was Kanye's. Um, what was the album that he did? It was like a rock album. Yeezus. Yeezus is like that too. If you play it from Blood on the Leaves and just start it from that point and circle back around, it's a much better album. I understand exactly what you're talking about with Damn. That's brilliant that you like dug into that album that way and understand the process like that. That's dope. He said Untitled and Unmastered got me through high school, early college. Section 80 was part of my childhood playing GTA. Yeah, that's where a lot of people connect with it, man. That's- and so GTA, it was something. It was the Rick James joint in GTA that kind of had me going. I can't remember which GTA that was. And believe it or not, I've never played GTA 5. And I don't know. It was too late for me to get back to it, and I just haven't played it yet. Jerome said he's in the middle of making a cigar playlist, smoking my cigars, like meditation for me. Me too, bro. I do a lot of reflecting and reviewing for my life when I smoke. Sharing this with others is what it's about. If you got a link to it, send that to me, or just send me a list of the cigar songs, man. I'm kind of curious to see what you're gonna put together for that. When I was talking to you guys about the podcast, I was actually thinking about doing a show all about cigar music and just kind of like not just jazz, not just hip hop, not just soul. I really want to put a real kind of like just have a whole podcast just talking about how cigars and music go together. I want to get into that. That should be something that's dope, and I like that you're doing that. Um, for me, it's kind of the same thing, man. Like I haven't gotten into music as much as I used to, and I don't know why. Like comedy and music has just been really hard for me to connect with lately. So it's like only certain artists that really kind of get me going. But smoking a good cigar and having a good soundtrack is like everything, and it definitely is meditation, man. And I'm glad other people see it that way too. Sorry, I allowed the cigar to go out. I know that's sacrilegious, but hey, it happens sometimes when you're talking. Do I like classical? Yes, I actually love classical music. I know it's a common song, but Pure Release is probably one of my favorite songs all the time. I remember being in middle school, and I was really close with my drama and my music teachers. I was just a weird artist kid anyway, and when I heard that for the first time, it like blew me away. I'm not gonna be the most versed person that's gonna be able to tell you about Tchaikovsky or Bach and all that kind of stuff, and give you the names of the the symphonies and all that kind of stuff and the numbers and all that. But I put on classical, I put on jazz a lot. I put on a lot of acid jazz. I listen to a lot of instrumentals like that just to kind of get in the vibe sometimes. And I try to put that into into my shows. I try not to be just like I'm hip hop through and through, but I'm a music guy, in general. I just love and appreciate music. I'm not musically talented at all, but I understand just that the sonic waves of music and how that can enhance whatever your vibe is and whatever your mood is. Even for my kids, we put on classical, for them to go to sleep at night. So hopefully my son and my daughter are gonna really be into classical music as well too. How often do I retro hell? You know what? I retro hell a lot. I do it with every cigar. At this point, it's not really a thing that I really think about unless I'm like intentionally trying to do it. But I feel like it's necessary to be able to get, just from your olfactory senses to get some of the nuances. You're not gonna get it unless you retrohale. So it's really important for me to do with the cigar. If you guys go back to one of the lives that we did for the new wave, the one that we had Sanj Patel, he goes on a whole tirade about how you should retrohale and different ways to do it. And this is like he has a proper way. His whole thing was like normally when I retrohale, you see how I kind of shot the smoke out like I do a quick retrohale. Normally for me, look at this snoz, man, this huge nose. I usually get a lot of the nuance from that, whether it's going to be pepper, whether it's going to be like some of the floral notes or whatever the case may be from that. But he was like, oh, you're doing it all wrong. You're not retrohelling the right way. What you want to do is do it like this. You want to slowly retrohel. And to be honest, I got more flavor retrohelling that way. Um, I can't say the man is wrong. So I kind of consciously do that and I retrohel both ways to get a different flavor profile. So I think it's a significant thing to do. And I retrohale every cigar, but I don't do it every puff, if that makes sense. I hope I answered that question properly. Jazz is big on my playlist, and low key Japan has great jazz community. It really does, dude. If you are ever in Japan, and there are a ton of jazz clubs that are out here, and they love music in general. If you go back, I did a review for this bar called R261. I think I'm doing the number right off. It's in Shibuya in Tokyo. It's a rock club, but they play more than just rock. They play a lot of old school music in there, and they got some really good music. If you go into the book offs and the Watmans, you can dig and you can find some great jazz albums. I am die hard for Miles Davis. He is absolutely my favorite jazz musician. I love Oscar Peterson. I love Ahmad Jamal. I absolutely love Art Blakey. There's some really good jazz musicians, and that's something that, like, when I am in the mood for jazz, that's kind of like my go-to. Like, the jazz is kind of stereotypical for cigars, but if you really are a jazz head, man, there's some fantastic stuff out there that can just kind of take you away. Let's see. Ever heard of the Japanese band Hiroshima? I have heard of them, but like I don't know a lot about them off the top. They got a song called Another Place. Takes me to feudal Japan. I gotta look for that. If you if you have any of my social media or you have my email, please send that to me as a reminder so I don't forget, because I want to check that out. Because when I'm doing these 3 4 hour lives, I forget some of the stuff that I'm talking about, and I rarely ever go all the way back through these to find it. So send that to me. I love R&B soul when I smoke. I've been digging Dennis Edwards and Eddie Kendricks. Eddie Kendricks is amazing. I feel you on that one. Love when hip hop samples old funk R&B, makes me find new songs. Yeah, go back and check out Stetsasonic, Tribe Called Quest. Q-Tip is phenomenal as far as, like, digging in the crates for like old jazz, and he can put you on to a whole lot. Like his taste in music is probably untouched. I don't know. Maybe the only person that can go anywhere close to Q-Tip is probably Dilla, but Q-Tip, that motherfucker knows his music, man, and the stuff that he samples is crazy. Um, but yeah, I would probably lean towards those cats to really kind of dig out some really great jazz. Bink does some really good stuff when he's digging in the crates too. He can find some great stuff, man, for sure. Somebody said a couple rappers sampled that joint. I don't doubt it, so I'm gonna dig for it. What are your thoughts on Roma Craft? Can you recommend 3 quality cigars that are reasonably priced? Um, Roma Craft, man, I get in a lot of trouble with Roma Craft. Like, Michael Prisdale is usually the guy I go to when it comes to Roma Craft. He smokes a lot more of that. The Baca is really what seems to be the most popular. And I don't think I've had it myself. I know people were really in love with the Cro-Magnon and the Neanderthal for a period. Cro-Magnon, like the whole thing with Roma Craft for me was like when it first started out, like it was like a hype train that I kind of stayed away from initially, and I wasn't really sure about the brand, so I never really dug back into it. I've smoked a couple, but I was never really blown away by it. But honestly, that could have been just a bias on my part, to be honest with you. So all apologies for that. But I'm not against them, but I'm not like the biggest Roma Craft guy at all. But Master Your Ash, Michael Prisdale, go check out. He got a lot of reviews on Roma Craft, man. He really appreciates that brand. That lost all of its fizz. Um, as far as like reasonably priced cigars, Oliva V Melanio is a go-to for me. Crown Heads, the Juarez is really good. Um, Charter Oak, that the Habano is really good. Espinosa, his whole line when he was like the Crema and the Habano, those are really good. I got like a few. There's a buyer's guide on my page where I do like cigars from $5 to $9. Go check that out. I probably mentioned a lot of those that are already on that, but those are some. I got a couple where I kind of go into like some really affordable cigars that are like actually worth smoking. Those are the ones that I can do off the top of my head right now. Just being so late, I'm probably struggling a lot more than I should. Oh, that's a good one there. That's who Kendrick is named after. Do I like MF Doom? I can't see why he's not. I can't see why he's not so hyped. When is Doom not hyped? Since when? He's not horrible, but I can't see why he's so hyped, but most of his fans overhype him. Okay, all right. So I read that wrong. All right. Here's my thing with Doom. I've been following Doom since he was Zeb Love X. Like I was when I was a young cat, man. My cousin put me on to third base, and that's how I found out about Doom. That's how I found out about Nas. For me, I can see why people think Doom is overhyped, but I actually love Doom. I'm not the dude that's like gonna bring up Doom first, but when it comes to his creativity and the subtleness in his bars and the stuff that he brings up, like sometimes you might not catch a bar that Doom has put out there, and his rhyme patterns are phenomenal. Like Food is brilliant. Mad Villainy is brilliant to me. Uh, I really rock with Doom. I do. Danger Doom was outstanding. Um, he got a couple albums that I really like. So I get why you feel that way. And but for me, I love Doom's imagination. And I love the fact that he never let anybody like kind of control what he was gonna, be as an MC. So I'm kind of on the fence. I get the hype train and I understand why people think he's overhyped, but I love Doom. Yeah, people are saying Killer Mike's new album is fire. I've only heard bits and pieces of it, but I got to be honest with you. I don't like Killer Mike. I don't like him at all. I didn't like him when I first heard him. His flow to me is so juvenile and his lyrics are juvenile. Like I can't get into him. And I love LP. I love LP ever since Fun Crusher. Um, and it's one of those things where I get Run the Jewels, but I can't listen to a lot of the Run the Jewels albums because I don't like Killer Mike. I just can't get into him. He just like his flow grates on my nerves. I can't get into him at all. He's lyrical jazz. That's a good way to describe Doom. Doom is definitely has his stance. He really does. I think MF Doom is good, but I think it's nostalgia for a lot of people. He's brought back that old Sloop New York sound, so I get it. Yeah, but to me, Doom is a lot more than that. It's his imagination. Like for me, like I can get into Camp Low, Ghostface, and Doom because the way that they approach a lot of their topics, they're saying a lot of stuff that's like if you're really not paying attention, you're gonna miss some of what they're talking about and how they connect it. My man said I'm with you on Killer Mike. Okay, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. I can't get with Killer Mike at all, man. I'm gonna try the album out, man. I know a lot of people are really like hyping that album up, and I know it's something different, so I'm gonna listen to it. But oh my god, I look at it like cigars. There are gonna be certain brands that I don't like, but even with those brands, I try to give them a chance. I try to smoke them. I try to see like if I can really deal with it. If it's just too much, I leave it alone and I let people know like, hey, this brand is not for me. So when it comes to Killer Mike, he's that type of thing. Now, Killer Mike is working with a lot of artists that I love, producers that I love, so I'm gonna give it a chance. But he gets on my nerves, bro. Like he really does. I can't, it's bad. I know. Sorry about that. It's cold. It's messing with me, man. Or the allergies. I get a lot of Currency on my cigar playlist. I like Currency. Yeah, I mean, Currency is smoking music anyway, and Currency is a talented MC. So I got this thing with certain rappers, right? Like Currency, Fabulous, especially Jadakiss. Jadakiss is one of my favorite MCs as far as what he says. Like the way he puts his rhyme schemes together, the way he puts his bars together, the creativeness of his punchlines and all that. I don't think many people can touch him. You're only gonna get certain people like maybe Black Thought or something like that that can touch him. But I can't stand when rappers have one flow and they cannot change up their flow. The reason why I fell in love with Andre 3000 is because for the majority of his career, he never had the same flow. He would switch it up depending on the beat. And like someone was saying, like MF Doom was kind of like jazz. I feel the same way about Rakim. They could always find a new pocket. And Kendrick Lamar was really good at that for a period too, where they could always find a new pocket and make a song based on what their flow is like. But Currency and Jada and Fabulous and there's a couple other rappers that I can name, they don't change up their flow. And that oh, Fonte. I love Fonte, but that drives me insane when rappers do that. I can't it ugh. Just like, yo, I know you found a good pocket, but you don't have to rap exactly the same on every beat. And it just frustrates me to no end. They said I like Currency if it's something more green, and I'm not talking about Candela. Oh, for sure. You know what's up with that. He said I don't like Killer Mike Cole, Denise Sun vibe. Like we get it. Your grandparents raised you. Love, yeah, I feel you on that. I love the work behind the scenes, helping the black community out. Yeah, and that's why I rock with Killer Mike too. And I appreciate him. I don't agree with everything he says, but I appreciate him as a thinker. But just as far as his skill level as an MC, he's not my flavor at all. Kiss's top five, Dead or Alive. That's one of his best lines, of course. I love that album too. That's another album that helped me with my time in Iraq for sure. Cause like, look, Kiss is super talented. He's super duper talented. Like it's unreal the stuff that he comes up with. But he literally sounds the same on absolutely every song, and that's the only flaw that I got for Kiss. The only one. Did you hear Andre 3000 is coming out with a new album? Yeah, we talked about that earlier. He's not coming out with that, and he ain't coming out with any new music of his own. And Killer Mike had to retract what he said about that. He was like, "Yo, I was high when I said that. I'm sorry, because I'm almost sure that Big Boy and Drake got at him. Like, come on, dog, what are you doing? Don't do that." Is it Eminem's lyrics or his flow patterns that make him shine? His lyrics aren't special at all to me. He's dope flow and shock value in my book. Okay, so sorry if I hit the mic. Here's the thing with Eminem. When Eminem was in his Infinite and uh what was the first album? The second album that he did. I can't think of the name of it right now. I can see the album cover. But not the one with Stan. Marshall Mathers LP. That era when he was doing the Wake Up Show, Sway, and it was Sway and Tech. That level M, when Eminem was still a battle rapper and he understood how to use his voice, it won't too many people messing with M. And M was on another level, like literally, like the, he had different flows. He knew how to use his voice. His punchlines was there. He did the shock value. He kind of stayed in his own lane. He was himself. M was raw. M was super dope. By the time he got the Eminem show, you could tell that like he had run out of steam and that he really didn't know what to do anymore. And then when the drugs started hitting him and he started doing that weird Pee Wee Herman voice, and once he got sober, he came back. He didn't know how to use his voice anymore. He was yelling all the time. And, when that comedian did that, on the born and napkins, babkins, and all, I couldn't stand that version of M. And the last time that M was like really good to me is when he did the cipher, when he was using his natural voice and he was really putting together some bars and he was really freestyling and you could see that he still had it. But now Eminem always has to show that like he's a technical MC and that he's constantly like he's rapping fast and you don't even really get to hear what he's saying lyrically. He doesn't have any content anymore. Eminem ran out of stuff to talk about. And when you're an MC and you don't have a voice, as in your actual voice, and you don't have a voice as far as something to say, I can't listen to him anymore. Like I like it's like anything after um, you know, the Eminem show, I can't stand in Eminem. Like I just I can't tolerate him. It's none of his albums have moved me at all. He said I think it was timing for Eminem. If he came out in 2015, I think no one would care. And it helps that Dr. Dre was. I don't like Dr. Dre. I don't like Dr. Dre as a producer. I don't like him as a rapper. I know people write for him. I don't like him as a person. I don't like Dr. Dre. I like I respect the Chronic and I respect Doggy Style, but outside of that, F Dre. And I don't think it was Dre that really helped Eminem or 50. I think early Eminem and early 50, their personas and their skill set actually is what made them good. And like for me, and the same thing with Kendrick, they made Dr. Dre. So that's my opinion. I know that's a hot take, but like if you go back to like Many Men 50, and if you go back to like Sway Tech and Sway Eminem, it ain't too many people touching that level, and they ain't have shit to do with Dre. Uh, Only so many times you can diss your mom and ex-wife. Yeah, I mean he had that whole period, but when Eminem was actually like battling people, and he was actually just talking about just being a person and talking about the drug culture and talking about being in Detroit and just dissing everybody that any and everybody that was around. M was a dope MC. He was really dope. But once that whole shock value ran out and he got money and he was hopped up on all those drugs, he just wasn't the same rapper after that. Go back to early mixtape Eminem. I promise you, you will see a different person. This dude that's rapping now, I can't deal with him. Have I heard of Robert Glasper? He's on my cigar playlist. Yes, I've heard of Glasper. Back in my early 20s, I was on a website all the time called OK Player. I used to be a spoken word poet. I used to be an MC, and I was a backpack rapper. And Robert Glasper is major doing that, D'Angelo, Little Brother, uh, the Roots crew. Like he was real heavy, Erica Badu, and that was my lane for a while. I was really into that whole neo soul thing. I'm an old dude, so I was really into that lane, and I was really into like the whole MC project. And if you love jazz and you love musicians and all of that, like you know Glasper. I rock with Glasper. I'm not like a diehard fan, but I rock with him. Eric Roberson and all that. Let's see, the DLC don't get a lot of credit for helping all of them. Yo, for real, the DLC really was going to be the best MC for that era. Like he really was. Like he had like I hate to say it, but he had the voice, he had the rap style, he had the energy, and his pen is undeniable. And there is no Dre, there is no Snoop, there is no Death Row, there's none of that without the DLC. He's really that dude. He's really that dude. And if you go back to his album, like you can really see he was the future. I hate that he was in that car accident, man. I remember I was like 9 years old and my cousin came home and my cousin was my best friend at the time. And my cousin came home and like he played that album for me. And we were in the room just digging through that album and we were just like blown away at how dope the DLC was. And then we read in like I don't know if it was like Word Up magazine and we read about this is long before the internet and we read about that accident, man. I remember being heartbroken. I remember like being genuinely sad that the DLC was in that accident. Like, at that time we didn't know if he was gonna survive. We didn't know like what his whole situation was like. So to be like 14 or 15 and to see him in that video when when Dre was like in the homie DLC, nobody does it better, and to see that DLC was whole, that shit made my day. That shit was everything for me, man. He said, yeah, I agree that that's a valid point, but I think that with black people, it helped being with 50 produced by Dre, but that's my opinion. Yeah, yeah, okay, so the whole thing with like the white rapper. It's a very complex thing. Hold up, the cigar keeps going out. It's a very complex thing in hip hop. But my whole thing is like I've always looked at it like in black culture and in black music. if you are talented, black folk gonna accept you, and especially for MCs. If you are a talented MC, that's all that's gonna matter. They're not gonna care about like really what you look like. So when it comes to MC Search is a weird dude now, but during the original era with Third Bass and Pete Nice, nobody cared that he was a white MC. That either one of them were white boys. They didn't care. They would just Third Bass was dope, and that's all that mattered. Everlast, like the original run for Everlast, and especially when it was House of Pain, nobody fucking cared that he was white. Nobody cared. House of Pain was just dope. They were just dope. Young black teenagers during that era. Nobody cared that they were a group of white boys that were going by young black teenagers. Nobody cared. They were just dope. And you've like you've always had people of different cultures come into hip hop. And if as long as you can make dope music and it fit into the culture, you were gonna be accepted. LP, people love LP. Why? Because LP is just a dope rapper. Nobody ever cared. And Eminem from his original era before My Name Is, when people were really listening to him as a battle rapper and MC, he got love because he was nice. But you're always gonna have that Vanilla Ice type rapper, and you're always gonna have Eminem that what's the guy idea or whatever. Um, I can't think of the other dude's name, brother something. I can't think of what his name is. But you have all these people that like you have certain fans that will kind of hop on, and you can say that 50 kind of gave him a little bit of credibility, but I think that helped more for white hip hop fans because they love the whole like chronic thing with Dre. I think that helped Eminem more having black fans and having white fans to kind of push him to that level where he was like this mega star. And even M was conscious that he was like Elvis to a lot of people. And I don't think it really set well with him. I think M really wanted to be respected as an MC in general. But you could do like a whole dissertation and a whole like a college write up on Eminem just as his career and how it kind of helped. Bubba Sparks. Who mentioned Bubba Sparks? Let me say it makes sense. What about Paul Wall? Nobody cares that Paul Wall is white. Nobody cares. Why? Because Paul Wall is actually a dope MC, and he got so much respect just in the culture of hip hop. Bubba Sparks. I loved Bubba Sparks when he first came out, and he kind of felt like a gimmick to a lot of people. But if you actually listen to his album, he could rap. But once again, he didn't have that image that people like Eminem, so he never got the same crossover. But people who are really into MCs, they fuck with Bubba Sparks to this day. Same thing with Paul Wall. Uh Millsy, Jada's artist is kind of nice. He's a decent white boy. I'll give him credit. I don't know much about him, man. I gotta check him out. I'm kind of out of the loop with a lot of these new cats, man. So I'll check him out. This Sin Compromiso is so smooth. I love the Sin Compromiso, bro. I love the Sin Compromiso, man. I really try not to be a soccer stan. I really try not to be. But to give my honest opinion on that, like when it comes to the Sin Compromiso, like it has this effervescent note that none of these other cigars have, and it gives you that savoriness, but it still is like a very smooth approach to the cigar. It's such a good cigar in general. Honestly, if I could smoke that on a regular basis and not have to deal with the cost of that, Sim Compromiso would probably be a daily driver for me. Like it's really that good. I understand it really is that smooth. I totally agree with you. Paul Wall and Bubba both have dope albums. Yeah, and they're just good rappers. And the thing about Paul Wall, if you look at Paul Wall to this day, he's probably one of the most respected people out of Houston. You're gonna get Flip, you're gonna get Paul Wall, and you're gonna get Scarface. And you got to give props to Paul Wall because like everybody from East Coast, West Coast, whatever, they show love to Paul Wall just because he's just that type of dude. Like it's nothing about him is fake. Like he's gonna be that way. Like what really hurt Vanilla Ice and a lot of the other, rappers that came out during that time frame is like they were trying to, create an image. Same thing with Everlast. They weren't faking the funk. Like if you were just like a real MC and you were a real person, you're gonna get respect in the game. And that's what hip hop is all about. Like you just gotta be genuine. Like a lot of these cats that get exposed for being fake, they disappear. Plus, those guys were hardcore Houston and were about the culture. Like to this day, Paul Wall stays iced out. Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like Paul Wall was not faking, and you never hear anybody say anything negative about Paul Wall. He has that kind of respect, and it's hard to get that kind of respect just across the board. So I got to give mad props to Paul Wall. I'm sorry I didn't think of him at first, but I mean, I like Paul Wall. I listen to him, but that style of rap wasn't really my lane. Like I said, I was really like a backpacker. I was Common Sense, Most Def, Black Thought, Das Effects, Redman, Ghostface. That was kind of more my lane when it came to MCs. Uh, 3000, but I respect Paul Wall and I respect what he did musically. I respected Bubba Sparks. And that's so I get it. I totally understand. I love Scarface to death. Scarface is one of my top fives all the time. I have a good question. What about the Beastie Boys? They came before me, so um, I don't know how people felt in the early '80s. The Beastie Boys is once again is a very interesting thing. Like the Beastie Boys have always been respected in hip hop. Um, like Brass Monkey when I was a kid would play everywhere. License to Ill is considered like a classic album to this day. And when you think about Rick Rubin and the Beastie Boys, there were some people that kind of gave them a little bit of flack about being like culture vultures and stuff like that in hip hop. But for the most part, because they were like really true to being musicians and being true to being MCs, especially for the style of hip hop that was during that early '80s era and that pioneer era, they're considered pioneers for hip hop. And to this day, I respect them. I'm not like a diehard Beastie Boys fan, but I rock with them. And I was never mad that like once they were able to take hip hop and kind of fuse it with rock and roll, the Beastie Boys were always the Beastie Boys. And they never said anything negative about hip hop. They never came out and just like Kid Rock, where like you could tell that they were just kind of using hip hop just so they could use it as a platform. They were never that. And all the music that they made was really like genuine and true to what the hip hop culture was at that time. And they evolved their sound over the years to do a lot of different things. And even if you listen to them, even when they were doing like that more rap rock style, they were still using that classic style of hip hop from the early '80s at the time because that's what was true to them. So growing up, I never knew anybody that really like hated on the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys played for like out of the boom boxes all the time. Like they're legends. They're absolute legends. Yeah, I love how people grew up different. I grew up on 3.6 D4L. Yeah, I remember when that sound like came in. It took me a while to adapt to all of that, like um, Do or Die and shoot, and I'm kind of forgetting because that really wasn't my sound. And when it came to the South, like I was outcast all day. When it came to West Coast, I was like hieroglyphics and Far Side. You know, like I was really into like boom bap, backpacker hip hop. But I grew to appreciate a lot of the Southern style. I grew to appreciate like because Ghetto Boys was out of the South, but I never looked at them like that. It was just Ghetto Boys to me at that time. But I appreciate a lot of that music, especially now that I've gotten older and now that it's nostalgic for me. Like I can appreciate a lot of the stuff that I was hating on at that time because if you weren't like New York, just straight bars and rhyming or conscious level hip hop, it was hard for me to adapt to it. It took me a while to grow up and do that. I like Cypress Hill, and I like Cypress Hill too, Jerome. And in the '80s when Cypress Hill came out, man, they really were like a completely different sound, and nobody sounded like them. And like to this day, I still respect Be Real for that. And they were the original Greenleaf, rappers at the time, and nobody was really making music like they were. It's funny, kind of. I grew up at the perfect time to see hip hop like kind of evolve. Like I was born in 1980, so when a lot of the stuff was like when like my first concert was Run DMC and LL Cool J. I was like 4 or 5 when I went to that concert, and I listened to Bad and Tougher Than Leather and all of that kind of stuff, heavy. But when Rock M kind of came in and kind of changed how people were rapping, and to really like making these kinds complex rhyme schemes and all that kind of stuff, it was really kind of fresh to kind of see how hip hop started to evolve. And you went from that sound to hip hop being more playful. And I miss when hip hop was all about different posses, when you had LONS and you had Will Smith at the time when he was doing more playful style of hip hop, and you could have fun with hip hop, and it was all about dancing. And you had Kid and Play, like that was a really good era. And to see that die when NWA came in and everybody had to be hardcore, and then moved into like Onyx and Das Effects, and then the Wu-Tang came in and everything, like you had to have your Timberlands on, you had leather on, like the Pelly Pelly and all that kind of stuff. Like it's kind of interesting to see how hip hop moved away from being fun, and then like all the lyricists came in, and when you got Big L and you got Nas and you had Biggie and all that, that was really like a golden era at the time, because the lyrics mattered. And then you got the conscious rap that came in when you got Common Sense and you got Mos Def and all, like I really was able to watch like hip hop evolve. Like I miss the Posse era. Like I miss the Juice Crew and Lords of the Underground. Like I miss that kind of thing where everybody was like a collective. Native Tongues, De La Soul. Like I miss that whole, like when it seemed like everything was a family before it like really tipped off into the NWA period. It's kind of an interesting thing. I watched all of that kind of evolve. My first concert was the Fugees. The Fugees in their heyday was like, Lauren was something special. She was a special MC, and Wyclef all the way up until the Carnival was something special too. He wasn't the greatest MC, but for him to be so creative at that point in time, I can't listen to Wyclef at all now. He drives me insane. But during that era, like that was a beautiful time in hip hop, man. And in '96, between Pac, and I'm not the biggest Pac fan, but during that time when it was Pac, Nas, the Fugees, um, Redman, it was some really great albums that came out during that '96 period. Outkast, like that was some good hip hop. It was like good albums all the way through. I didn't think Dirty South rap really influenced rap after it was going to after it got its footing. In my opinion, I can hear 3 6 Mafia in Memphis. And 3 6, look, 3 6 Mafia do not get the respect that they deserve. All that triplet flow that you hear right now from the Migos and all that, that's 3 6 Mafia, without a doubt. Like they are a blueprint. That wasn't my style of hip hop, but Juicy J as a producer is phenomenal. Like they really are. They really did change music, and they don't get the love that they deserve, because during the era, just like people just weren't respecting hip hop. Like when Jay Electronica said, when people was calling Southern rappers lame, but then Jack and I flow. I can't remember the bar that he said exactly, but that was true. And a lot of those guys during that period don't get the respect that they deserve, because people were trying not. They didn't want New York hip hop to die, and I understand why, but When you think about the melodies and the patterns that 3 6 Mafia put into hip hop, man, and the way they put their flows, Project Pat, people still using Project Pat's flow to this day. Project Pat was a game changer. Like they need to really get the respect that they deserve from that era. Also, Black Mafia family was was influential on how short they were. My nickname was Michi because of my skin tone. That's crazy. Yeah, Big Meech, man. Like that whole thing. They weren't great rappers, but as far as a lifestyle, they were kind of like Allen Iverson in a sense, as far as like how they influenced the game. Like I didn't really get into that era, like being a kid in North Carolina and Virginia. Like I kind of missed a lot of that, but like in retrospect, I really see how they influenced music. Goody Mob and the Dungeon Family is that type of Atlanta era that resonates with me. Yeah, man. Like Soul Food and what was that second album that Goody Mob did? It was the great album cover. What was it like? Was it Family Tree or Still Standing? Still Standing. It's probably one of the most influential runs in hip hop that doesn't get the respect that it deserves. CeeLo as a musical talent before he did Gnarls Barkley and all that, people didn't understand how dope CeeLo was. And like CeeLo got a couple albums that people don't really recognize that was so influential. Dude is really a talent. And I honestly like with the stuff that he did outside of music that really hurt him, but he was really up there with 3000 and Cool Breeze. That whole Dungeon Family era was really a good era in music, man. Like Black Ice to this day is still one of my favorite songs, not just because of Dre, but if you really listen to it, Big Git had a different flow and it sounded like a different person each time he touched the microphone on that song, and he was brilliant on that. And I really wish people would really show uh, Goody Mob the love that they deserve. Early Outkast too, but if you listen to early Outkast, you can hear their influence from West Coast rap. You can hear the Snoop influence and you can hear the hieroglyphics influence and how they were rapping at that time. They didn't really find their own sound until ATLians. And that's when you can kind of tell that like they okay, we know what we're doing now. And that's why to me, Outkast pinnacle is Aquemini. That's when they really found like, okay, this is our sound and this is what we're doing. I love Southern playalistic Cadillac music. But to me, at that time, the only thing that I hear is Far Side, Hieroglyphics, and Snoop. That's what I hear from that album. And it's a great album. ATLians, like you could kind of tell that they were drifting away from that. And then Aquemini, they went to another stratosphere. Growing up in Atlanta during that era was crazy. Were you out there for Freaknik and all that, or were you too young? I had a Pop Warner football game and some of the BMF people were there, like J Bo and Blue Da Vinci. Crazy because I didn't know what they were doing. Yeah, I know, man. Like, I really wish I had like a plug into Atlanta during that time. Around that area, I was like 14 or 15, and I was trying to get down to Freaknik, and I was trying to get down to Atlanta. I just never made it down there, man. But I was in love with that sound during that time. Like you couldn't tell me shit about soul food and still standing and Outcast during that period, man. So I missed that whole BMF thing. I really wish I could have seen what that era was like during your eyes. And honestly, man, Ti uh, Ti needs to get a lot of props for what he was doing during that period too. Um, where am I originally from? I'm from North Carolina and Virginia. I spent really the first half of my life in North Carolina and Virginia. That's what I knew. Um, I grew up in a small town called Tarboro. The only thing that we're known for is football. And Todd Gurley went to my high school. He's much younger than I am, but Todd Gurley that played for the LA Rams was a superstar in my small town. And in VA, I spent a lot of time in Hampton Roads. So when I was a kid, um, I lived on 79th Street and Chestnut, and a lot of my family was in Stewart Gardens. So like my cousins know Bubba Chuck, Allen Iverson personally. And so my brother went to Warwick High while I was in North Carolina. So I spent a lot, like I was 2 hours away from Hampton Roads, Newport News, Hampton, Norfolk. Like that was my era. So my brother went to Warwick, so he was just under Michael Vick and Bubba Chuck, my best friend and my god brother, went to Bethel. So him and Keem was like really close with Bubba Chuck. So like that's my era. Like so we were in the middle, man. Like when it came to hip hop, like we had that Southern influence, and we had like that New York influence in Baltimore, DC with Go Go and all like we got into that whole scene. So it's kind of a weird like hodgepodge of what I got from where I grew up. Like people didn't want to be considered country, in Virginia. And being in North Carolina, like I grew up in the country, but I didn't listen to like a lot of country or Southern hip hop until Outkast came along. One of my best boys is from Norfolk. Shout out to Norfolk, man. 757, two up, two down. I still consider that like my second home. But it's seven, but he's 70. He from the old downtown Norfolk. Oh man, look. When I was a kid in Newport News, so for like the first 5 or 6 years of my life, I lived in Bad News, Newport News, Virginia. You didn't go to Richmond and you didn't go to Norfolk. Like you didn't cross the bridge over there during the 80s, early 80s. So I can only imagine what it was like in the 70s, like being like Booker T. Washington, that area, and all the projects that's right down there in downtown Norfolk. Norfolk was raw, and Richmond was raw. Like you didn't cross over there unless you had to do it. Like it's a different thing now. Norfolk and like Hampton Roads is really bad now. Like every time you see the news, if you're watching Wavy TV 10 and all that kind of stuff, man, there's nothing but people getting shot up. I miss Norfolk. I spent from 2005 to 2015 in Norfolk. I was a butcher out there, and I went to culinary school and I did my whole thing. I spent my adult years in Virginia Beach and Norfolk, and it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful area, but like it's really getting to the point where like it's rough there. It's almost like it was in the 80s. It's crazy. It's crazy because I look like Big Boy. I never got that one before, man. I always got Dre. I never got that one before. I always got Dre, 50 Cent, and the weird thing is people always compare me to Childish Gambino. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, that's funny that you said that. But I get 50 Cent all the time. And I get Tank. But I get Dre all the time too. But that's back when I was telling you I used to dress weird. God damn it, this thing keeps going out every time I'm talking too much. All right, Freaknik was before my time. Okay, I kind of figured that. My dad, however, has some stories. I hope he don't come up in that new documentary that he's doing. I wanted to get the Freaknik so bad, man, but it never happened. Let's see. He also met DC Curry, the comedian. Yeah, I know DC. I remember DC Curry. DC was hilarious. Yo, him and Earthquake was funny, and they are friends to this day. I got a random story about comedians from that time frame. So my wife moved from California to New York, and this is like 2004, 2005. Um, if you guys remember BET's, uh, what was the comedy show that was on BET back in the day? Uh, I can't remember what that I can't remember what that show was. It wasn't Def Comedy Jam. It was on BET. It was the comedy show that used to come on BET back in the day. Comic View, my man, Comic View. So you might remember this, yeah, but it was Comic View, not Def Comedy Jam, but it was Comic View. So I'm in East Harlem, the barrio, and we are right above Patsy's. My wife had an apartment right above Patsy's, the pizza spot. I came down one day and I'm on the block. I think it was Second Ave. It was either Second Ave or First Ave between 118th and 116th. You can check the facts on that one to make sure I got it, but right where Patsy's is. And I came down, and this dude walked up to me. He was like, "Man, don't I know you from somewhere?" And I looked at him, and I was like, "I don't think so, man. I'm not from New York, man, but I know you from somewhere." And he was like, "Oh, man, you might know me. I was a comedian." He's like, "My name is Spaceman, and I used to do this comic routine called Tragedy." He's like, "Yo, if do you remember like?" I was like, "Yo, dude, I know you, man. Me and my cousin used to do your routine all the time, man. If a man, if a blind man dropped his wallet and I point to it and he don't pick it up, is that wrong?" Tragedy. Like he had this whole routine that he was doing. He was like, "Yeah, that's me, man." He was like, "Yeah, I was a comedian, da 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 da." And he was just like, he was like, "Yo, walk with me, man." So I'm walking, down to the bodega, and I'm talking to him, and this dude is doing like a whole comedy routine for me, like while we're walking down the street. And he was like, "Yo, man, let me get a few dollars, just for doing this comic routine." He was like, "Man, I'm gonna be honest with you." He was like, "Yo, I got a habit, and my drug of choice is heroin." And he was like, "I'm just trying to get a few dollars to get a hit or whatever." He was like, I was like, "Man, look, I don't support that, but you were a legend to me and my fam, man. Like back when, watching Comic View and all that kind of stuff, man." He was like, I was like, "Man, I'll buy you something to drink and I'll get you something to eat, man. But I can't, buy your heroin for you, man. That's just like, I can't do that." He was like, "Nah, man, that's a bet, whatever, whatever." And, I got him some food, got him something to drink or whatever. And I was like in shock, like, "Yo, this is Spaceman, yo." Like dude was like, he was supposed to be a superstar. He was around with Earthquake. He was around with Don DC Curry around the time that DC Curry was hosting Comic View, DL Hughley and all that kind of stuff. The dude was like, he was supposed to be big. And the next day I come down on the same block, and the dude walked up to me and was like, "Hey, man, don't I know you from somewhere?" He couldn't even remember that he talked to me that day. And it just broke my heart, man. And if you go on YouTube, you can find like Cameron, like is got this dude like doing weird stuff in the street, for money. Like he's like dodging cars in the middle of the street, man. It's just kind of crazy and kind of sad to see somebody like that just got hooked on heroin like that, man, and just destroyed his whole career. Dude was supposed to be up there with like Kings of Comedy and all that kind of stuff, man. He's supposed to be like Earthquake is still doing stuff, man. I think did DC Curry recently pass away or something like that? I haven't seen him recently. I think but I remember him, from Friday and all that kind of stuff, man. He was supposed to be out there with them, man. That's just kind of a random story, but it always kind of broke my heart that like I don't run into celebrities all the time, man. But just being in East Harlem during that time when the heroin was real crazy was just kind of a wild story. I just had to throw that one out there. It's a glad Earthquake got his just due with his own special. And it took so long, man, for Earthquake to really get his respect. Him, it was it my man AJ Jamal, DC Curry, Earthquake, Earthquake finally getting his just due. Cause that's a funny dude, man. And like I don't get into comedy like I used to. Like I was a diehard into that whole era, man. But to see him like getting the respect that he deserves is kind of love, man. And Face Man should have been out there, man. And to see that man strung out like that, it broke my heart, man. It really did. But hey, like Andre said, that's life shit. My man said he get Dave Chappelle and Tyrese. You trying to say I look like Bokeem Woodbine, man, and Dave Chappelle? Man, I've never heard that one before. But I don't know, man. I guess I got one of them faces that people compare me to a lot of different people. I see a couple of them. I see Tank and I see 50, but I don't know about Dave Chappelle, bro. I don't know. Tyrese. That's funny as hell, man. I look nothing like Tyrese, yo. And if I shave all this shit off, I definitely wouldn't look like Tyrese. Now, when it comes down to comedy, I can smoke my cigars. I like Ali Sadiq. I've been listening to him a lot recently, man. He been popping up in my YouTube feed recently, man. And he's one of those people, like I respect storytellers. I know Cosby don't get a lot of love, man, but Cosby and Richard Pryor were brilliant storytellers. Dave Chappelle is a brilliant storyteller. I will put Ali Sadiq in that whole level of just being a brilliant storyteller. Like you just captivated by whatever he's talking about, and you follow along with every story he's telling. And I try to put that into, when I'm doing like these lives, when I'm doing like smoke your best cigars. It's all about like telling stories and talking over cigars. He's definitely a type of cat that you can sit back and just listen to him. I think he kind of ODs with it, like with his prison stories, but like you can't tell a man that that's not what his era, like what he been through. Like, and a lot of the shit that the stories that he's telling is hilarious. I just watched the video with him the other day talking about like uh the silverback gorilla, like the dude that was in solitary confinement, and he was like banging on the metal doors. And then when he came out, was the other dude that was in his stall, and they was having a flex off. That shit was a funny ass story. Like if y'all get a chance, go back and listen to him tell that story. That shit is fucking hilarious, man. And it's not the craziest thing. It's just the way that he tells the story that just makes that shit so fucking funny. It's brilliant. DC is still alive, at least since 2 years ago. My dad and him rode motorcycles together. I could see him being a part of like a motorcycle club. That makes sense. I always remember the beautiful women he had. DC had women. Well, you funny, you can get a lot of women, so that don't surprise me at all. He was on Joe Rogan a couple weeks ago. Did I see that? I don't think I saw that one. I might have to go check that out. I think Greer Barnes is super underrated. Yo, yo, Greer and what's my name? What's my man name? He's the dude that influenced Dave Chappelle. I think his name is Tony. Him and Greer are like two of my favorite cats because they just talk. They don't have a set. They don't have jokes lined up. They just talk.